Good evening, my friend, and welcome to the Everyone's Ugly at 5 a.m. 350 from the Southern National Motorsports Park. My name is PDJ Zeller, the voice of XCal Racing, and this evening we have an excellent event in tow for you. But before we get things started, we do have a few things to cover, and one of those is last time we were live. Well, I shouldn't say last time we were live. I actually wasn't here for this race, but when we were at Bristol, Matthew Bear actually ended up finishing third in that race. Unfortunately, something about him and a sheep after the race. He wasn't around for his interview, but I am going to catch up with him now and talk to him a little bit. And Matthew, I got to ask you, third place at Bristol, a fantastic run for you in the 19 team. You had some early season struggles. You've been running a little bit better, more consistently, though. How did it feel to get that third place finish at the half mile of Bristol?
It was a good momentum booster going into this week, but we'll see how we're going to do this week. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle, I think. It's going to be very tough to pass. It ain't like Bristol where you can go up high or go low, so it's going to all be about where you're starting at and try to stay there.
Well, looking for the 19 team, obviously your teammates as well, Greg Holes, Luke Turpin with great runs last week. This week, I didn't get a chance to actually catch a lot of the heat races, much of practice. So do you and your teammates feel like you have good speed again this week?
I know my teammates have good speed. I expect to definitely have a shot to win tonight. I'm going to go on a fuel strategy, so we're going to hope that we go green for a long time and I can gain about 4 or 5 extra laps and maybe get lucky on the caution. So, because it's really just going to come down to how aggressive everybody wants to drive. If they want to go super aggressive, we're going to have a bunch of torn up cars early.
All right, well, Matthew, you didn't get the chance to do it last week, so I'll give you the chance right now. Is there any sponsors or teammates you'd like to get, or crew you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, man. I'd like to thank Butt Kicker for coming on board for XCal for the rest of the year. iRacing for broadcasting the races, and most importantly, my teammates. Without them, there's no way that third place happens last week. They helped me out a lot with my setup.
All right, well, that'll wrap up our interview with Matt. Best of luck tonight, Matthew. And actually, our in-car reporter tonight is going to be Richard Holliday. And Higgins, the XCal super fan, he wasn't here for the race last week. I wasn't here. Higgins wasn't here. I guess he was supposed to be here, but he fell asleep underneath his RV or something like that. But we got him awake this week, and Higgins is now down trackside with Richard Holliday.
Hey, partner. This here's Higgins, the XCal super fan, and I'm here asking Richard some questions. You ready, Richard?
Let's do it.
All right. So, first things first is I hear you got a BMW, and I got myself an RV. You thinking about trading?
No, I'm good. Very happy I don't have to sleep in my car. There's not much room for it.
I was thinking those seats they're BMW seats, pretty comfy. I was thinking about sleeping in those. Kind of a letdown. Anyway, have you ever been to Jacksonville, Richard?
I've been to Jacksonville, North Carolina. I ain't been to Jacksonville, Florida, though.
I am talking about Jacksonville, Florida. I went down there once, and I met Montgomery Gentry, and we went jet skiing.
Nice.
It was a really good time. It was
That
really
sounds
fun.
like a blast. R.I.P.
How often do you shower, Richard?
Hopefully more often than you.
I shower thrice weekly.
Thrice?
Is it more or less than thrice?
Couple more than that.
That's honestly impressive. I don't have enough of a water tank here on the RV, so I gotta spread them out. My next question here. Do you need your brakes done? I really need some money, and I'll do your brakes on the BMW if you want.
I don't, but I do need a clutch changed. We could do that.
I'm sure I can try my absolute hardest. I really only know how to do brakes, but I am willing to look it up on the internet and try. So we'll talk about that. But what would your favorite band be, Richard?
Ooh. I like metalcore, so probably, I don't know. I'm big into Bad Omens right now, probably them.
Okay. I do like metal every once in a while as well. But me personally, I do have to say my favorite band is Montgomery Gentry, because we went jet skiing that one time in Jacksonville. It was fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
All right,
All right,
well,
well, I'm
yeah.
very much ready to get watching this race, so I got some beers to drink. You ready, Richard?
I wish I was a little better prepared, but we'll see what happens.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Back to you, Petey and Paul.
All right, so we are going to that'll end that interview there. As Higgins, the XCal superfan, as always, talking to Richard Holiday, and thank you, Higgins. Thank you, Holiday. As that will wrap up things there. We're getting ready to go green flag racing for 350 laps from the Southern National Motorsports Park. Here are how things are going to line up. Starting on pole position, that is position number 1, will be the 04 of Tyler Jalbert. On his outside, in the 454 will be last week's feature winner Luke Turpin. In third, in the number 99 will be Tyler McRae. In fourth, in the 48 will be Jordan Babinger. In fifth, in the number 66 will be Austin Edwards. In sixth, in the number 12 will be Kenny Tripp. In seventh, in the number 28 will be Stephen Rex. In eighth, in the number 51 will be Chase Johnson. In ninth, in the number 2 will be Ben Eaton. And in 10th, in the number 61 will be Greg Holes. In 11th, in the number 25, will be Bruce Helmuth. 12th, in the 22, will be Sean Patrick. 13th, in the number 57, will be Brandon Varney. 14th, in the 96, will be Charlie Beals, making his XCal debut. In 15th, in the number 19, will be Matthew Bear. 16th will be the 53 of Tyler Batchelder. 17th will be the 01, our points leader, John Schwartz. 18th will be the 85 of Jeremy Leto. 19th will be the 52 of Mason Foster. And 20th will be the 15 of Kendrick Cryer. 21st will be the 31 of Josh Rogers. 22nd will be Art Hendren in the 21. 23rd will be the 05 of John Friley. 24th will be the 77 of Octavio Rondoletto. 25th will be Pat Sullivan in 16. 26th will be the 81 of Blake Wynn. 27th will be the 06 of Logan Jones. 28th, the 82 of Alex Gangler. 29th, the 20 of Jose Gaudino. And 30th, Derek Colson. 31st, Johnny B in the 062. 32nd, the 424 of Noah Carpenter. 33rd, the 03 of Richard Holiday. 34th, the 84 of Ryan Soper, lovingly known as Pud. And in 35th, starting shotgun on the field, will be the number 87 of Colin Hefner. 35 cars looking to take the green flag as we are going green this time by. Tyler Jalbert has locked himself into the All-Star race by winning the pole award in this race. Don't worry, in a second you will get to meet the second member of the broadcast team, Doug Burns, as Doug's actually working the cameras. He should be number 1. He does most of the work. But we will get to Doug in a second, because here we go through 3 and 4. Tyler Jalbert has the field at his mercy. He hits the go pedal. They go. Green flag in the air. We're down and away, and Turpin does hang tough on the outside, but the weapon's going to take the lead. Here comes McRae now on the inside of Luke Turpin. That is for second and third positions. McRae with the advantage on the low side. McRae drives it through 3 and 4, and caution is out. A quick caution, Doug.
Yeah, it looked like there was an incident early in turns 1 and 2. We're going to go see if we can take a look at that, but it looked like several cars involved in that.
Yeah, I see Derek Colson really torn up. And the guy third in points, the 77 of Octavio Rondoletto, he got a good bit of damage too, Doug. Looks like some heavy hitters involved in this early wreck.
Yeah, it looks like we had a car on the outside just got loose, and several guys got together. They were mid-pack, so it caught quite a few guys. Just couldn't get checked up. This track isn't exactly small. It's a bit difficult to get around here, so it will be interesting to see how many cars end up on pit road and have to get manually repaired here.
I see Pud Ryan Soper. He is on pit road with a ton of damage right now. The front clip is completely ripped off that car. Or it isn't completely ripped off, but it's just about ripped off. And then Derek Colson does have the front clip completely ripped off that 5 car. And Doug, I know you've only been doing these XCal races for 3 and 4 weeks now, but I'm telling you what, ever since we made our comeback in July of last season, Derek Colson's an OG XCal member. Derek Colson's been around since 2013. He's been racing with us. Since we have came back, Derek Colson has just had no luck whatsoever. And once again, his race is ruined before it even got started. It was ruined coming off turn 2 on lap 1 of a 350 lap race.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. You know, when you get these guys that have been around for a long time and then they regroup, you definitely want to go out there and put on a good show. I'm one of the veterans from back in the Papyrus days. I always want to put on a good show, and when something like this happens, man, that hurts. That hurts bad. And to have a run of luck like he's had, yeah, that's not fun at all.
Not in the slightest. Looks like Pat Sullivan also got some good bit of damage. His right front's pretty torn up. He's still sitting on pit road right now. They're working on that car. All these cars are already 2 laps down. Doug, one thing about this track is it's so small. Like, this is, I believe, either the smallest or second smallest track we go to at only 0.4 miles. But it's much faster than a lot of the other tracks. Because, most of these short tracks, they're very flat. This track is high banked, so you're turning about 15-second laps around here. If you end up in the pits with a little bit of damage, even if it's just 1 minute of repairs, you're going 4 or 5 laps down, and I mean, that can easily be the end of your day, Doug.
Yeah, 17 degrees of banking into the turns. It can get a little dicey down there, and that inside line has the grip, but there's also a little bit of a rise there on the inside of these turns, so that can definitely offshoot a car, and that can cause some problems as well. And you are going a lot faster here than you are at some of these flat tracks.
One car that I do want to note, somehow on that, well, it looks like we're getting ready to go restart it. Here we go, green flag in the air. Tyler Jalbert down and away. These cautions are so quick here, barely any time to think. Jalbert gets the jump. Jalbert has the lead. Here comes McRae now to the inside of Luke Turpin. He's racing for second position, and it looks like Turpin will get the run on the high side. Turpin almost cleared McRae, wasn't quite clear. McRae keeps the bumper in. McRae now races back on the low side of Luke Turpin. They do battle, and Turpin, man, I'll tell you what, Doug, he keeps almost getting clear, but he just can't quite clear him, and now McRae drives it in deep. McRae has the nose ahead, and Turpin tries to find a hole. The hole's just not there. Turpin goes for it, and he forces his way into third.
And they were battling quite hard side by side. And these guys want to get single file. It is 350 laps, and even at 15 seconds a lap, that's going to take a while. These guys want to settle in, not have any more of these quick cautions, and have a chance to get a feel for the car, get a rhythm going, and hopefully start to advance their position. There's no reason to get too crazy early on in the race, but everybody's jockeying for positions, points, and money.
Right now, keep an eye on the guy battling for fourth on the outside of Jordan Babinger. That's Austin Edwards in the 66. This is only his second career XCal start. His first career start, he finished second at Thompson as he clears Babinger. He's up to fourth now. He had a great race at Thompson, though, his XCal debut. Now he just races the 66 whenever he's available, so this being his second race, he won his heat race. He was the fastest car in pre-race warm-up by a tenth, as we have a car down on the low side. That's Alex Gangler in the 82. No caution flying yet. Gangler needs to get that car back going. He does get it back going. He's looking for a place to emerge. He gets the car rolling, and Gangler's back away. No caution will fly. But back to my thought about Edwards is, things get a little shaky up front. He has been awfully fast all week. He is a high I-rating guy. I believe he's near 5,000. He's really respected as his own setup shop. This guy is a true contender as he goes for third spot now. That 66 car, I'll tell you what, he's going to be running near the front all day, and he's probably my pre-race pick, Doug, if we don't see him get involved in an incident.
Yeah, he's looking really strong early on, and I know setups are a huge thing, especially in these cars. The limited power and the heavy weight, having the right setup can make the difference between a good run and a really, really bad long night, especially here where you are doing the speeds that they're doing. This is, as we talked about before the race, this is like old school Bristol. So there's going to be a lot of beating and banging, but having that right setup under the car is going to be a huge advantage for him and his team.
Yes, it will. So here we go. Edwards goes for second. He gets underneath McRae. He takes second. Chase Johnson, by the way, up to fourth. He's gotten around Luke Turpin. Lots of battling going on the racetrack, but Edwards now up to second, and he is quickly catching Tyler Jalbert. That 66 car is a rocket ship. I can tell you that much already. That 66 car is standing out. The moves he's made, the way he was able to make a pass on the high side, which just doesn't happen here. Impressive. Here we go. Johnson gets underneath McRae. Johnson's going to ruffle his feathers a little bit. He wasn't quite in there, and Johnson now on the inside. He will take away third position from McRae. McRae shoves him up the racetrack, and Johnson is going to get moved up the track. Johnson and McRae racing hard. Johnson will clear him, and Johnson now in third. Tempers flaring early, and that's the thing here, Doug. It's so hard to pass that you really do just have to dive that nose in there and ruffle someone's feathers to make the pass.
Yeah, it's the old Dale Earnhardt thing. You just mean to rattle their cage, but you rattle somebody's cage way too much, everybody's going to start to lose their tempers here. It's going to be an exciting night. There's going to be a lot of bumping and banging, but this track will get slick too, especially in the turns 3 and 4 where there's not as much shade. The track's going to get slick, and these guys are bumping and banging all the way around it, and that's...
Oh, here we go for the lead. Sorry to interrupt you there, Doug, but I saw Edwards...
That's fine. Yeah, Edwards already making a move for the lead.
Oh, they are beating and banging for the lead. Jalbert got loose. He came down into Edwards. Jalbert's going to save it. He slides back into third. Johnson, by the way, Chase Johnson started 8th. He's up to 2nd now, running right in the tire tracks of Austin Edwards. Edwards, though, let's see what he can do in clean air. We know that car is going to be quick. Let's see what he can do. Looks like Johnson's going to hang for the time being. Right now, your top 5 are as followed. Austin Edwards, Chase Johnson, Tyler Jalbert, Tyler McRae, and Luke Turpin. Jordan Babinger's our guy who's 2nd in points right now. He's right there in 6th. And then we just kind of have a hodgepodge of cars throughout the rest of the field. Still, we have 29 of the 35 cars that took the green on the lead lap. 3 cars still in the pits. That's Pat Sullivan, Ryan Soper, and Derek Olson. Up front, though, looks like the top 2 starting to separate themselves a little bit. And as fast as Edwards is, it does look like Johnson. I mean, I know it's not a big sample size. We'll have to see how they continue to run as the laps wear on, as Johnson gets loose just as I talk about him. Regardless of that little error there, though, that 51 of Johnson, he has shown pretty good speed so far, too.
Yeah, and here's another interesting note. The 424, that is Noah Carpenter. He started back in 32nd spot. He's already up to 15th. So you've got 2 really fast guys at the front, but if their teams are talking to him, they're warning him about this car coming to the front. He's running laps on pace or faster than the leaders right now. So it could we could see a lot more changing up front before this race is all done.
Luke Turpin just took 4th place from Tyler McRae. McRae is going to get to slide in front of his teammate Jordan Babinger. Babinger kind of made a hole there for him, which you'll see teammates do tonight. So now we have Turpin back up to 4th. Up front, it continues to be Austin Edwards showing the way. Chase Johnson about half a second behind, and it's about a stalemate at that. They're getting into heavy lap traffic. I do want to make note of one story. Chase Johnson, the 51 car this week, you might notice that's a new number for me. He's been running the 15 all season. That's because Dive Bomb Racing actually signed Kendrick Pryor after he became a free agent, and Johnson wanted his very good friend Cryer to sign with Dive Bomb. So in order to make the deal more lucrative for Cryer, Chase gave up his 15 car and the points that went with it. That 15 car is 6th in points, well within the thick of the championship battle. And he took over the 51 for Dive Bomb Racing. That's mired back near 30th position in points. So truly a big sacrifice there for Johnson, but he wanted his good buddy Cryer to sign with his team. It worked, and now Johnson said he's excited about the opportunity to dig the 51 out of the hole it's in.
And that'll be exciting as we're under caution.
Yeah, caution is out on the speedway for the 2nd time this evening on lap number 30. So it looks like the 53 car of Tyler Batchelder is parked up against the outside wall. Maybe something to do with him there, Doug.
Yeah, it looks like there was an issue coming off of turn 4. There was a couple cars getting loose right behind him, and they just clipped the rear of him, and he got turned around backwards. Looks like the 51, or another car was collected there as well, but for the most part, no major impact, so everybody should keep going.
So Batchelder does get it back rolling, not before he loses a lap, though. Let's see if it traps him behind the pace car. It will not. So Batchelder does get to get his car back just to 1 lap down rather than 2. And I think he will be, depends on if he calls the caution or if he'll be eligible for the wave round. But here we go. First opportunity to see who's going to come into the pits. And it looks like none of the leaders really biting so far. Here comes Edwards. Here comes Johnson. Jalbert's going to stay out. And yeah, it looks like we're going to have a variety of strategy here. But the top 2 do come into the pits. Edwards, Johnson in here. And I'll tell you what, this is a short, tight pit road. Johnson does miss his stall. Edwards missed his stall by a little bit. And this is going to be hectic on pit road tonight, Doug.
Yeah, it really is. And there's 2 different pits here. So you enter on the front. If you're in the second half of the pack, when you qualified, you enter in the back out of turn 2. If you're in the front half, you enter in turn 3. And it can get a little bit dicey trying to get on and off pit road. If they come to a situation where they have green flag pit stops, those pit road entries, that could make that could be the difference between winning and losing. And as I mentioned before, this track does have a neat little feature that it has a little bit of a rise right there outside the wall in the turn. So getting up there, you have to get up that little bit of a jump almost, and then get straightened out and get down to pit road speed. And there is no space on the track to do it.
This is a true bull ring. Like when you look up in the dictionary the definition of a racetrack that's a bull ring, it's going to show you this place. This place is by all definitions a bull ring. This little 0.4 mile high banked track. I wish I knew the exact degrees of banking here, but I don't know if you've gotten a lot of laps on this track, Doug. I've gotten a fair amount, not as many as I have on other short tracks. But the banking on this track, it doesn't look that great on the broadcast, I'm sure. For these cars, it really is high banked. I'd say this is probably, besides the super speedways, this is probably the second or third highest banked short track that XCal will go to.
It is 17-degree bank turns and 7-degree straightaways. We'll hop into the leader's car here in a minute so that the fans can see that as they go green. But yeah, it is definitely a tricky track to run here, especially as the track gets more rubber laid down on it. They'll be coming in there and slip sliding away on entry and exit both. In the middle of the corner, you actually get a little bit of grip, and you think you can start getting back on it, and then suddenly it starts to break loose on you again. Fortunately, they have their teams working on their setups. They work together, and that's going to help them out a lot tonight. But man, it's not an easy track, even though it may appear so.
So we have a little bit of a situation here. The 05 of John Friley, who I believe is 6 laps down. He just got the lead. He's trapped in the spot where the leader should be right now, and the pace car is not releasing him. So the rest of the field is set. I'll read you the way it's supposed to be going. Tyler Jalbert should be the leader. Luke Turpin second. Colin Hefner third. Kenny Tripp fourth, and fifth should be Johnny B. But we are waiting to see what happens here. Race controls continue to delay this yellow. And one of the problems with a short track like this is things happen so quick. It takes a long time for iRacing to organize things, and even when they do organize things, sometimes they don't organize it correctly. So it looks like what XCal is going to do here is I think they're going to have the 05 get ahead in his own lane. No, I think they're working very hard to resolve this issue here, Doug.
Yeah, there are, nothing's perfect. Even in real-world racing, nothing's perfect, and they'll run into these situations. And it just comes down to the great race admins we have here that are taking care of this. They're watching the situation, and they'll make a determination. And
Ooh, man, they did not fix it, though, and the 05 just had to start in the pole position, and Tyler Jalbert beat his bumper off. He makes it 3 wide. They're going to move Hefner out of the way. And, yeah, that was just, there was nothing XCal could have done there. Caution's out on the speedway right away. Caution flies. That was nothing that XCal really could have done there, though. That was just unfortunate, and Tyler Jalbert did not have any patience to be had with that 05 car. And it looks like the 96 wrecked, Doug. The 96, that is Charlie Beals.
Yeah, let's see. Looked like when they got into turn one, he was up high. He had a car kind of in the middle lane. They were 3 wide at the front, but they were 3 wide halfway through the field, and the 96 ends up parked on the wall at pit road entry. That's going to cause him some problems as well. Fortunately, these cars are heavy enough that the damage won't be terrible to him, but it's not going to help his handling for sure. And it looks like the pace car and race control is about to have a bit of a struggle with trying to get everybody lined out here.
Yeah, it looks like the Charlie Beals 96 car had to take a tow. That's pretty detrimental to him. I want to update you. All the cars that were involved in the lap 1 caution are back out on the track. Derek Colson's back out there. Ryan Soper's back out there. Pat Sullivan's back out there. So if Charlie Beals can get back out there, we will still have all the cars that took the green back out there on the racetrack. Certainly,
looks like Arthur Hendren gave up his position to drop down pit road, as did John Brunch. I'm not going to pronounce that right.
Johnny B.
Johnny B, thank you. And Jeremy Leto all gave up their top 10 positions to jump down pit road this time.
It does look like Logan Jones has been black flagged for that incident, which I think is probably the right call. Looks like he got up into the Beals machine a little bit too much there. So this will put us under caution for the 3rd time this night, as we're about on lap number 50 of 350. And 350 laps might sound like a lot, but this track, those laps are going to absolutely fly by like nothing ever happened. Once we get a good green flag running, 200 laps will click away here so quickly, Doug.
Yeah, 15 seconds is the fastest lap's been 15.4, so you're talking about 4 laps per minute. These guys are going to be flying around this track, and even though it may not seem like it to them, us watching at home, it's going to be a little bit crazy out there. And the other part of that comes into is they're running so fast around this track. The guys at the back, once the green flag drops, they're half a lap behind, as you see sometimes at Bristol. They're half a lap behind, and lap traffic will come into play for these leaders too. So it almost came into play before that second caution, and I imagine we're going to see that problem, especially with damaged cars, a lot sooner.
All right, so here we go down to the 3 and 4. We aren't going green this time by, but next time by we should be. Here's how they run. Luke Turpin's the leader. Second's Tyler Jalbert. Third's Kenny the Helmet Trip. Fourth is Colin Hefner, who started dead last in the field up to fourth right now. Good job by that young man. And fifth is Austin Edwards, who has looked like possibly the man to beat. Chase Johnson back up to sixth now. 15 cars ride on the lead lap, and I think that number is going to change. I think Jeremy Leto and Art Hendren may have lost their laps. But here we go down the backstretch. This time by, we will be getting the green flag. Luke Turpin, last week's winner, does have the field at his mercy. They come through 3 and 4. Pace car pulls off. Turpin gets on the pedal. Green flag in the air. We're down and away. Good jump for Turpin. Turpin on the inside. He will take the lead. Hole for Jalbert to slide in. Jalbert does slide into second. Now Kenny triple race for third with Colin Hefner. They race side by side.
Yeah, and they are 2 and 3 wide right behind them as well. They're not, hopefully these guys will get settled in and then we'll see some green flag racing. But right now, these guys are battling like it is the last lap. They're going full bore here. Back behind, they're 2 and 3 wide still mid-pack. It's even these lap cars, they're trying to get everything they can. They want to get back up front and unlap themselves. And this is one of the few tracks that you could actually pull off unlapping yourself if you're fast enough.
No doubt, and here we go. Battle still on for third. Hefner on the high side, actually running really nice right now. He is not making this easy on the helmet. Helmet on the low side, though, trying to take that third position away. Kenny drives it in deep. He washes up the racetrack. Hefner gets back on the go pedal pretty loud there, and Hefner on the high side, he continues to race with Tripp. Tripp just not able to get around that 87, as here we go. Edwards now starting to get a little impatient. Edwards is going to try to dive underneath Hefner, just nothing really there because Tripp can't clear him. Tripp finally clears him, and now here comes Edwards immediately to the inside of the 87, and the 87 might lose a couple spots here as he has some pretty heavy hitters behind him with Chase Johnson and Tyler McRae also running behind Edwards. So now looks like Edwards will take away that spot from 57. Johnson immediately dives the nose in as we expected. Johnson's going to be for 5th position, so Johnson will take 5th away, and Hefner thinking maybe he can slide in front of McRae, and he can slide in front of McRae. As here we go, battle on for 3rd. Edwards gets to the inside of Tripp.
Yeah, and it is starting to get really dicey up at the front. I mean, these guys are battling, like I said before, like it's last lap. And the interesting thing is we saw the 87 run to the outside. Most of that run, it took forever for guys to get past him. And as long as we've got more 2 wide battling, that outside line will start to come in more and more as the night goes on. We might see somebody eventually be able to work around. As we get a little trouble in turns 1 and 2, one car gets sent onto pit road.
And they were battling for the lead, but the 04 got underneath the 454, and Luke Turpin just let Tyler Jalbert take it. So Tyler Jalbert, our pole sitter, back to the lead. Here comes Edwards now, right up the tailpipes of Luke Turpin. Edwards gets to the inside. Edwards underneath the 454. Turpin looks like he's just going to let him have that one, too. Turpin gets out of the way. And, you know, Doug, what makes Luke Turpin so great is not the races that he dominates. It's not the races where he's the fastest car on the racetrack and no one can touch him. It's he always understands how fast he is, and that's what truly makes him great. He knows that in this race he doesn't have the fastest car. He knows that Edwards is a little faster and Jalbert's a little faster. And now here we go. Edwards gives Jalbert a little bit of a shove there. Edwards gets to the inside. Jalbert tries chopping the nose off as Johnson's going to take 3rd away from Turpin. Turpin's just going to be like, all right, you guys can have these spots. Looks like he's going to drop one to Tripp. He does just give Tripp the spot there. Now the leader is Edwards. Edwards gets a tap there from the 04. Johnson gets to the inside of Jalbert. Calamity at the front of the field right now. Johnson trying to take this spot away, and it looks like Johnson to the inside. He will not quite have Jalbert. They touch doors a little bit there, and Johnson does finally clear Jalbert, so Jalbert will be shuffled back to 3rd. Back to my point about Luke Turpin, though. What makes him so great is he always understands how fast his car is. This race, he knows he doesn't have the fastest car. He knows he probably has about a 5th place car. So you know what Luke Turpin's going to do for probably about the first 300 laps? He's going to ride in about 5th where he's comfortable. He's going to learn what the car can do, maybe make some minor adjustments. And as the race goes on, as we get to those last 50 laps, he's going to try to get the best position he can. But Doug, that's really what separates a great driver from a good driver, is always understanding what your equipment is and making a plan to make the best out of it.
Yeah, patience and strategy is definitely going to pay off here, and that is going to be to his benefit, especially now you've only got 12 cars on the lead lap. It's definitely not to his benefit to stay up there and fight with a car that he knows he can't beat these guys with, but if he can continue to work around, wait for some pit stops, make some adjustments, and then work his way back through them, as long as they're staying in sight, he really doesn't have anything to worry about. He's in really good shape, and as they work through lap traffic, that'll be to his advantage too. Having that little bit of gap to the leaders, he'll be able to get around some of this lap traffic a lot quicker.
And right now, here we go. The 66 of Austin Edwards, he is getting himself into lap traffic. He's kind of starting to check out on the field. He has a 1 second advantage. He is running easily the fastest laps on the racetrack right now. No one else is really quite that close. Edwards now is going to put the 21 car another lap down. He's catching up to Noah Carpenter, who you made a mention of earlier. The thing here is, Doug, once you get trapped a lap down and we get a restart, you're already towards the tail end of the field. So now and the caution comes out, saved by the bell is Noah Carpenter from going a terrible 2 laps down, just as I talk about, as we're under caution for the 4th time tonight on lap 67. John Friley, I believe, in the 05.
Yep, I believe we have a big one on the back straightaway. Take a look here.
Oh, I think Derek Colson got into it again.
Yeah,
Tough break.
and several cars, as he gets spun, several cars get collected. Just couldn't get woed up in time. It looks like Greg Holes took the worst of that. He ended up upside down at one point.
Yeah, that was actually Holes that I thought was Colson, but Holes got absolutely clobbered in that one. Unfortunate break there for Holes after a great run and running 8th last week at Bristol. Holes' car got absolutely murdered there, though. There's no other way to put that. And it looks like everyone's coming down pit road. I would like to catch a word with our in-car reporter here in a moment, but I think he... Actually, no, it looks like he isn't coming to the pit, so I'm going to pull him up here real quick. We're going to try to catch a word with Richard Holliday. So hold up 1 second while I tune to the radio channel for the 03. And Richard Holliday, it's PD up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, PD, yeah, I got you.
Well, Richard, kind of a stop-and-go start to this race. We get a little 20-lap run, then a quick caution, 20-lap run, quick caution. Tell me, though, in these little spurts we've had, have you been able to learn anything about your car so far?
Yeah, it's a little better than I thought it would be. I had very limited practice for this race. It's a track I haven't run on at all, but learning quick and about to make some adjustments on this pit stop.
10-4. Do you think that 03 car has the speed or do you think that later in this race you're going to have the speed to compete for a top 5 spot as we're kind of typically used to seeing you doing?
Yeah, top 5 would probably be best case. I don't think I'm strong enough to challenge for a win or even a top 3, but hopefully we can stick it in the top 5 and go on to the next race.
All right, well, Richard, thank you for the word. Best of luck. We'll be talking to you in a little bit. So that was Richard Holliday, driver of the 03 car, as we let him catch back up with his team. It looks like he's going to get back on the lead lap, currently running in 12th right now. We only have 13 cars in the lead lap, and then, Doug, we get back to 22nd, and that's the last car 1 lap down. Then guys start getting trapped 2 laps down. This is one of those races, Doug, where I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the race there was only maybe like 2 or 3 guys on the lead lap, and I mean that honestly. It's just the nature of this track and the type of event.
Yeah, and the way it's running right now, I mean, really, we're seeing a lot of quick cautions. So these guys get enough time to put 1 or 2 more cars a lap down each time by. It's getting a little bit interesting seeing the leaders try and get as much as they can get. We see a couple of guys getting back to the lead lap. They were on the tail end, but these leaders, man, they're gonna keep putting cars a lap down. I think you're right. It would not be a surprise at all to see this thing end with maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 cars on the lead lap, but that would be it, especially with some of these wrecks collecting numerous cars. You're talking about the potential of cars in the back. As we mentioned, the lap traffic, if they have an accident, it could collect the leaders at any time.
Right, so here's how things are running right now. Remember, in that first caution, Octavio Rondoletto was involved. Looks like he has cycled through to 2nd. Okay, so Bruce Hellmuth is the leader. 2nd's Octavio Rondoletto. 3rd's Austin Edwards. 4th is Jordan Babinger. 5th is going to be Chase Johnson. Yep, Chase Johnson. 6th will be Tyler McCrae. 7th is going to be Matthew Bear. 8th, Brandon Varney. 9th, Josh Rogers having a nice run right now. And 10th will be Steven Rex. And remember, I just talked about how Noah Carpenter was about to go 2 laps down, got saved by the bell. He truly did, Doug. He is now on the lead lap, so fantastic break there for the 424 car as he is running for Asphalt Motorsports. Here we go. Pace car pulls off. Field in the hands of Bruce Hellmuth. Green flag in the air. It's Rondoletto on the high side with a heck of a jump. Rondoletto hangs tough on the outside of that 25 car. Let's see how they do down in turns 3 and 4. It looks like the 25 pulls back up. Here comes Edwards thinking about making it 3 wide. Edwards won't. The 77 gets shuffled out of the groove. They're 3 wide behind them. Big stack up. Oh my goodness. They're 3, 4 wide throughout the field right now. Things are getting shuffled all over the place. It looks like everyone's everyone's going to work things out, though, and yes, they will, as that was certainly a hectic moment. Things are worked out, though. Up front is still Bruce Hellmuth with a mirror full of Austin Edwards, as they're still 3 wide.
Yeah, that was getting a little bit crazy. The 77 ended up just nowhere to go. We saw it earlier, even 2 wide until the upper part of the track comes in. I mean, these guys are going to be side by side and whatnot, but you're on that outside until the track comes in. You're kind of going backwards a little bit. The 77 just ended up all the way up at the top, up by the wall, as a move for the lead.
All right, well, here we go. Looks like Bruce Hellmuth just got shuffled out of the way, so Austin Edwards goes to the inside. Also getting loose on the high side was Jordan Babinger. He has lost a handful of spots. Edwards takes the lead. Here comes Chase Johnson now to the inside of Hellmuth. Johnson on the inside. Looks like he's going to take that spot away. And now here we go, battle for third as the 57 of Brandon Varney gets underneath Bruce Hellmuth. Varney signed with a new team. You might remember he owned his own team, Varney Racing. That team dissolved, and Varney signed with the Helenar Racing team to drive the 57 for the rest of the season. So a new ride for Brandon Varney, who is certainly considered an elite driver. I mean, Brandon Varney has 40 career wins in real life at the Oxford Speedway. He's the only driver to ever win in the 8-cylinder, 6-cylinder, 4-cylinder, and go-kart championship. A really accomplished real-life driver, and a big signing for the Helenar Racing team as he has brought that 57 car up to third right now.
Yeah, and just a note, Rondoletto, he was really strong at Bristol a couple weeks ago as well. It seems like this particular type of track with the
Oh! 25 goes around. Oh, Luke Turpin wrecks. Oh, caution is out on the speedway as contact between the 454 and 25 took place. Looks like the 01 of John Schwartz spun in the aftermath. Richard Holliday got involved a little bit, and that was a little bit of a mid-pack cluster there.
Yeah, it was, and it was close to the leaders, which can be problematic as well, trying to pull up and see where all of the madness started, but several cars collected in that incident.
Yeah, Tyler McRae, Tyler Jalbert, Luke Turpin all caught pieces of that. The thing is, you're not really going fast enough here to tear up these cars too bad, though. I think Turpin and company are going to be okay. But a tough break there for Turpin really did get the worst of that. That left front is all crinkled up on that car now as he took a hard hit to Tyler Jalbert. Jalbert got a little bit of damage, but not as bad as Turpin.
It looks like we just had the 454 just dove in there, clipped the 25, and unfortunately they had a big pack right behind them. Most of them get checked up. Looked like the 01 got collected, but mostly everybody manages to work their way through that. But still, not the way this early in the race. This many cautions, this many banged up cars. Not the way these guys are wanting this to go.
All right, so when we do get restarted, it looks like Austin Edwards will be in first. Second place will be Chase Johnson. Third will be Brandon Varney. Fourth is going to be, I believe it's going to be Jordan Babinger. Fifth is going to be Josh Rogers. And running in sixth is going to be Colin Hefner. Seventh will be Ben Eaton. Eighth will be Kendrick Cryer. Ninth will be Tyler McRae. And 10th will be Steven Rex. We have 13 cars in the lead lap, and they did penalize Luke Turpin for that caution. So Luke Turpin got the black flag, and a car we saw competing up near a top 5 spot there, Doug. Looks like he's going to be mired back now deep in the field after that penalty.
Yeah, that's going to be rough. That should put him, I believe, 1 lap down, and if he could be as far back as 22nd place once they get him lined out. Looks like he's currently showing about 16th, but he's going to go backwards quite a bit, and that's going to be really, really tough for him to get back. As we talked about, it is a track you can unlap yourself at, but man, it's not going to be easy to do so.
Certainly not. So 13, actually, there's going to be more than 13 cars in the lead lap with wave rounds. It looks like Blake Wynn will be back on the lead lap. Obviously, Josh Rogers, as I mentioned earlier. So about 15 cars going to be running on the lead lap. Actually, Luke Turpin, first car, 1 lap down at 15th. As we're getting things ready to go back racing here. Looks like a 21 car of Art Hendry needs to get himself shuffled out a little bit here. But Doug, looking at this field right now, up front, the 66 car, Austin Edwards, not a scratch on it. It's been the class of the field all night. If this comes down to a race of speed, and I know we're only on lap 88 of 350, but if this comes down to a race of all the fast cars are there at the end, they're running up front, do you think anyone in this field has shown you anything that they'll be able to compete with Austin Edwards?
Anybody other than the Noah Carpenter has been the fastest, and I've been kind of keeping an eye on him. He's still really quick, but man, it's a question of if they can get up here, and even on these short runs and long runs, Austin's been extremely fast, so I don't know if anybody can touch him tonight.
We'll be curious to see Austin Edwards looking to get K2 Motorsports their first career victory in XCal Racing as we are green. We go racing down into turns number 1 and 2, and actually we're heading down to 3 and 4 now. That's how quickly things happen. Johnson still on the outside of Edwards. Johnson will have Varney now get to his inside. Varney gets to the inside of Johnson. They race side by side for second. Edwards safely in the lead, and Varney gets loose under Johnson. He saves it. He's still saving it. He does save it right in front of his teammate Colin Hefner. Everyone's going to hang on, and now Kendrick Cryer comes to the inside of Colin Hefner for 5th. And hectic racing at the front of these fields. I'll tell you what, Doug, these restarts have been absolutely chaotic. Cars are just not sticking to the racetrack. They're getting loose. They're all over the place. These restarts have been certainly something to watch.
Yeah, it has been exciting every restart. You see some guys trying to get any position they can. They're diving down to the inside. They're catching that little ridge down there. They're pushing out to the outside. They're looking for any real estate they can find to get some positions. And meanwhile, the 66 is just checking out from the field while these guys are back behind in battle, and he's managed to get clear just about every restart. So there's been a lot of excitement. We've seen some great saves and some big wrecks, but it's going to be an interesting night to say the least.
Austin Edwards just put down 4 of his fastest laps of the race these last 4 laps. He is absolutely on a rail right now. That 66 car is just, there's no one else in the same zip code right now, lap time wise. Johnson's in second. Looks like the battle for third is heating up. The teammates Hefner and Varney starting to race a little bit closer with one another. Hefner all over the back bumper of Brandon Varney right now. Varney is trying to get a little bit of a gap there on him. Looks like he will get a little bit of breathing room. Nice thing about having your teammate behind you is that you can always know they'll give you a little bit extra, or at least you hope they'll give you a little bit of extra space to work with there. But Varney's in third, looking behind these guys for some more battles going on. Looks like we do have a battle for... No, those are lap down cars. Everything's actually pretty single file right now. The closest thing we do have a battle is for second. It looks like Varney is right up on the bumper of that 51 dive bomb car. And I will say, Edwards is certainly the class of the field. One thing I am becoming impressed with here, though, Doug, is, the 87 gets into his teammate, the 57. The 57 will save it. What a save from Brandon Varney. The 15 of Kendrick Cryer will take advantage. He's going to gain 2 spots there. But all things considered, and Varney's still underneath the 15, actually. The 15 does get clear now. All things considered, though, Doug, an incredible save for Brandon Varney and for the Halinar Racing team. I'm sure Alex Halinar was watching that one and having a little bit of a heart attack when he saw his 2 cars start to go around.
Yeah, that was definitely an exciting moment for both of those drivers, and I'm sure that they're communicating right now saying, hey, dude, you need to back off just a little bit. But we've seen some epic saves, and that was definitely one of them. He was almost completely sideways with his teammate on his left rear and just managed to straighten that thing back out without collecting anybody else in the incident. That could have been a lot worse for both teammates. They got really lucky there.
Yeah, and they still run in 4th and 6th. They only lost, Varney lost 1 spot, and Hefner lost 2 spots. So everyone's still doing okay here. And that Varney car, I'm watching the hands on that steering wheel right now. He is sawing that thing back and forth. That is not a good handling race car right now for Brandon Varney. Looking, though, now, that moves Kendrick Cryer up to 3rd. Highest we've seen him run all night. Remember, I talked pre-race about how he's taking over that 15 car for the rest of the season, a new signing for Dive Bomb Racing. And, Derek Colson, we've noted his issues that he's had tonight. Still for Derek Colson, though, I'm sure he's not happy. I'm sure he himself would like to run better, but whenever the 2 other cars you own are running 2nd and 3rd, that's probably helping him not feel so bad,
Oh yeah, I'm sure as a team owner he wants to be leading his team, but to be in that good a position, have his team in that good a position, that's nothing to sneeze at. And as the laps go on and more of these cars get a lap down, knowing that his team is still up in the lead lap is going to be huge as the night goes on. Another interesting note, just watching the 87 of Colin Hefner, is that he has actually been extremely fast. He's not as consistent as Austin Edwards, but he's run laps equal to and just once, better than Austin Edwards. So that could come into play later. We'll have to see what his long run speed is like, but he's definitely got the potential to get up there and compete if the opportunity presents itself.
So it looks like Cryer now is starting to put a little bit of a gap between him and Brandon Varney. Those 2 guys were actually former teammates at Varney Racing, but they obviously that team folded and things have changed since then. They both run for new teams now. Up front, though, not much has changed. Austin Edwards has a huge lead, about 1.5 seconds over Chase Johnson, which at a small track like that, that's like a set of corners. That's a straightaway lead that Edwards has on Johnson. Johnson, though, props due to Chase Johnson as well. I feel like I haven't talked about him as much as Edwards, but all night long, even though Edwards has been the class of the field, Chase Johnson has been the silver medal guy all night. And Doug, we talked about this pre-race. When we came, well, before we even went on air, we talked about this. You and me were having a conversation before the race. When XCal came here in the preseason, Luke Turpin dominated the race. He had the best car all night long. That was one of the few races I ran in the preseason. I was the silver medal car all night long. I was Chase Johnson. I was running second. I had absolutely nothing for Luke Turpin. Well, late in the going, Luke Turpin got collected in an accident with a lap car, and I went on to win that race since I was the silver medal car. At a track like this, being the silver medal car is not a bad deal, Doug, because with so much lap traffic, such a small track, so much chaos, it's not that unrealistic to think the gold medal can get in some trouble.
Yeah, I mean, we almost saw it in that last wreck. I mean, they were mid-pack. We've seen it a couple of times where mid-to-backpack cars are getting into an incident, and it takes up the whole track. Even just two cars wrecking will take up the whole track. And if you're mid-to-backpack or even as these leaders are lapping, I mean, there's every possible contention that the leader could get collected in anything. As we watch the leader, Austin Edwards, come up on a bunch of lap traffic, and you know these guys are going to be fighting to try and keep on the lead lap or one lap down, however much they are. They're going to keep trying to fight, and as they're battling each other, battling the leader, that could be problematic. Austin almost has a problem with the car in front of him. I believe it's a 15.
That was actually the 16 of Pat Sullivan, but that was a hectic moment for sure there, Doug. Everyone's going to make it through. Battle's starting to heat up again for third, fourth, and fifth. Those guys are actually, it's about third through sixth. Those guys are all over each other. Here comes Jordan Babinger. He gets to the inside of the 57 of Brandon Varney. Babinger dives to the inside. He races side by side for fourth, and he will take that position away from Varney. Now here comes Colin Hefner to the inside of Varney. This is going to be for that'll be for fifth, and actually Hefner's going to lay off. He's going to let the 57 have it. I'll tell you what, is the 57's running good right now. He's up in the top five, obviously. That car's not handling very good, Doug. I've been watching his wheels. That car's all over the racetrack right now. They need to make an adjustment. I mean, it's impressive he's running as well as he is with the car handling that bad, but it's very clear to me that that car is not handling well.
No, it looks like he's struggling. We're going to hop in the cockpit and ride around so we can show off some of the banking here as well. But you can see that orange mark on his car. He is just working that thing as he comes out of turn 4. And he is definitely struggling with the handling on the car right now. It's definitely not where he wants to be. Still able to hold the bottom line. And I think what we're seeing now with these cars later, this is the longest green flag run we've had. And so you're starting to see the setups are starting to show if they're a long run setup or a short run setup. And, it may be a situation where the 57's handling starts to come back to him before long. But it looks like he is just struggling so much right now. But given the struggle, he's doing an excellent job of running that car.
Yeah, we have had our third place car, Kendrick Cryer, come into the pits. Cryer is down on pit road, and that car is getting serviced 4 tires and gas as he is down and away. And this will be a good benchmark to see how many laps you're going to lose from pitting. And he goes 3 laps down. He lost 3 laps in the process of pitting, which is actually kind of slightly less bad than I was expecting. I wonder if he took a full tank. But actually, I think it's going to cycle out to be 4 when they come around to the flag stand this time by. So 4 laps lost in the pits for Kendrick Cryer, but he's back out there now, and he cycles through just about where he would have been running anyways. So Cryer is, it was 3 laps. I correct myself. It's 3 laps, and he's actually within striking distance of the leader. So he could get back to 2 laps here. As it now looks like our second place runner, he is sticking his hand out the window. Chase Johnson's going to be coming down this time by. And on lap 125, it looks like we are getting close to green flag pit stops.
And here's an interesting tidbit. It is only a half-second difference. Kendrick Cryer's last lap was a 15.3. That was also his fastest lap of the night. But Austin Edwards, who's been the class of the field, his fastest lap tonight was a 15.358. So 0.04 of a second, and it's a half a second difference. Austin is running a 15.8. Kendrick's running a 15.3. So he could make up. Kendrick could make up quite a bit. And as we start to see these green flag runs, that's definitely going to shake things up quite a bit the longer they stay green. But we did talk about one thing early on, is the pit roads. There's the pit road entry in turn 2, pit road entry in turn 4, and the exits in turns 1 and 3.
Sorry, Doug, our leader just had a moment. He is 3 wide with lap cars right now. Jeremy Leto just came down into a little bit. Jeremy Leto's got into the 06. Oh, he's 3 wide again. This is a tough situation for our leader. Things are hectic. He got doored once by the 85, and now the 66 will finally get around those guys. And I can promise you this, Austin Edwards just cleared a line of sweat from his forehead after that one. That was a moment that I really thought might be the moment that ruins the 66's race. It was close.
It definitely wasn't.
Oh, they wreck in front of him!
Wrecking, and he gets through, but he clips. Everybody manages to keep straight, but it looked like he might have actually clipped the car in front of him, the lap car he was trying to get around. This is the chaos of a green flag pit stop here at Southern National. It's getting a little bit crazy here.
He definitely did touch that car, but I don't think it was hard enough to do any damage. What it did do, though, is it let Chase Johnson catch up. Chase Johnson's only about 4/10 behind the 66 now. Edwards just trying to recover and get through this lap traffic. I mean, after that, you know what I think is probably the hardest thing and maybe the most underrated things that the fans don't understand is, I mean, maybe it varies from driver to driver, but I can tell you this. I'm the type of driver where I can get flustered. I can get very flustered sometimes. And when you end up in a situation like that with lap cars, as caution does fly, I'll come back to that thought. Caution is out on the speedway for the 5th time tonight. It looks like maybe Charlie Beals might have had issues again. I'm not positive on that. So it looks like, so what I'm gonna go back to the point I was making there just because I want to elaborate on that thought so the viewers can understand. But my friend, what I was saying is, the 66, when you get in a situation like that, Doug, and you're running all that lap traffic and you're getting beat up by guys that you don't think you should be getting beat up by, and guys are dooring you, it's so easy to get flustered and lose your cool. I've done it before in races that I should have won. Man, getting into these pits is chaotic right now. But I've done it before in races that I thought I had in hand. And it's after that, some guys, like myself, that do get flustered by that, they'll start to run sloppy. You'll start to run bad laps, you'll start to miss your marks, you'll start to be unfocused just because you got so flustered by those lap cars. It is so important after things like that happen to just take a deep breath, get your composure back, and start hitting your marks again, because it's not hard, Doug, to lose your composure and just start running completely awful.
Yeah, the one thing you always hear race car drivers say, the same thing, is you've got to have a really short memory so that it doesn't cause you problems down the line in a race, in a season, in a championship. And these guys are going to have to be very careful with that, especially on a track like this where they're beating and banging all the way around. There's been problems coming on and off pit road, and just a lot of insanity going on early on in the race.
So here's how things are going to cycle out. There's going to be 4 cars on the lead. I think it's going to...
It might even be 3.
I think Johnson is ahead of Rondoletto, so Johnson should get to go around the pace. There's a lot happening right now, Doug, and I'm just waiting to see what goes down. Now it's telling me there's 1 car on the lead lap, and that 1 car is Jordan Babinger. That 1 car is Jordan Babinger. Actually, there's 2. Octavio Rondoletto is also on the lead lap, but Jordan Babinger and Octavio Rondoletto have the rest of the field trapped a lap down. So things getting exciting here, and Babinger in the top spot. This is going to take a minute to cycle through. And I will say, if strategy goes the way of Jordan Babinger tonight, Doug, I want you to know this. When we came here last time at Southern National, I remember I said I was the 2nd fastest car, and Luke Turpin dominated, and I ended up winning the race. Well, me being the 2nd fastest car, it was really close. It was either me or Jordan Babinger. We were pretty close to each other all night, but with 20 laps to go, or I think it might have been 40 laps to go, Babinger actually got removed from the server accidentally, a race control error that rarely happens, and it cost him his bid at his first ever victory. So maybe if strategy goes his way tonight, maybe the gods of Southern National Motorsports Park they're remembering a little bit how they did him dirty last time.
Yeah, you can only hope. It looks like with everything sorted out, there's going to be 5 cars on the lead lap. And we talked earlier, we could only see 3, 4, maybe at most 5 cars on the lead lap when this thing is all said and done. Every restart, a couple more cars have gone a lap down or more. So this is about to get really interesting. And after that long run, there's a lot more cars a lap down, and if they get another long green flag run after this restart, they get sorted out, they get single file. We could end up with just these 5 cars on the lead lap. They've all been pretty close all night, but man, it's about to get really interesting.
So you're not wrong, Doug. Here's the 5 cars in the lead lap. First is Octavio Rondoletto. Second is Jordan Babinger. Third is Colin Hefner. Fourth is Chase Johnson. Fifth is Matthew Bear as we go green. Those are the only cars in the lead lap. Then 6th through 12th is 1 lap down. Then the laps continue to progress down. Here we go. Rondoletto jumps into the top spot. That 77 car is in the lead. And caution flies immediately. And, oh, there was a big pile up. I see the 21 involved. I see the 03. I see the 2 car, and that looks like it was definitely a little bit of a pile up there. As the 21 of Art Hendren and Logan Jones got a good piece of that. Then Eaton went barrel rolling down the backstretch. Even despite the barrel roll, I really don't think he got that bad of damage. And we are under a quick caution once again.
Yeah, just looking at it, once it started with the 25, and then the 21, and then several other cars just start getting collected. They're barrel rolling and spinning all the way down the back straightaway. Several cars involved, and half the pack had to stop. So here comes the pace car coming around, and that might cause some other issues for race control.
All right, so this will put Austin Edwards, Tyler McRae, and Jeremy Leto back on the lead lap. I mean, that could change if the leaders pit. A little bit of change in strategy here. It does look like Rondoleto's come down. Babinger's going to stay out, I think. Hefner stayed out. Johnson obviously is going to stay out. And Matthew Bear also stays out. So a variety of strategy here.
And just taking a quick look, it looks like Babinger, he just stopped. So Colin Hefner is currently being scored in first, Chase Johnson second, Matthew Bear in third. They all stopped on that last caution, and they've run mostly caution laps, so fuel is not going to be that big of an issue. So some of these guys that previously stopped are stopping again. I'm not sure what the strategy would be there, but looks like we might get a couple more cars back on the lead lap at this point.
So here is how things cycle through. Chase Johnson's the leader now. Colin, actually, you know what, Doug? I keep trying to catch my friends up on what's happening here, but I should probably just wait till we get restarted, Doug, because things are changing so quickly here that I feel like what I'm spitting out now is going to be completely inaccurate in 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's probably an accurate thing. The leader is still struggling to get with the pace car. The pace car is in a different location at the moment, and they've got lap cars, everybody trying to sort themselves out. I can tell you, race control is doing a great job tonight because they definitely have got their hands full with this.
So we're up to 8 cars in the lead lap, getting their laps back. Tyler Jalbert, Austin Edwards, Tyler McRae. That leaves just 1 lap down. We will have Stephen Rex, Brandon Varney, Octavio Rondoletto, Jeremy Leto, and Richard Holiday and Noah Carpenter. And I like your sneaky pick there of Carpenter, Doug, because, you know, he hasn't been on the lead lap. He's just been hanging around, and we know that car has speed. And, I mean, if he can get on the lead lap at the right time, get himself in the right position, I don't mind that pick you made, Doug. I could see him, if he got in the lead, being a hard guy to get around late.
Yeah, just watching his lap times, he's been consistent the whole race. He's been consistently with the leaders' paces the whole race. He's just been quietly working his way through the field. He's got sent back just a little bit, but he is still only 1 lap down. He could easily, another quick caution, he could easily get waved around and get back to the lead lap. And then these front guys, they're about to have their hands full with that car. He's just so fast, and more importantly, he's been really consistent and really safe.
He ran pretty good in the truck race, too, and I gotta say, he drives for Asphalt Motorsports. That team's owned by Darren Snyder. They run a part-time schedule. They just bring out cars when they want to. They decided to put together a car for Carpenter this week. They have 3 cars. They only put the 1 together this week. And it's good to see them, after taking a few weeks hiatus, come back with a car and have it running so strong. Here we go through turns 3 and 4. Colin Hefner's in the top spot. The high side's Chase Johnson. Green flag in the air. We're down and away at lap 150, and Hefner has the point. Hefner drives down into turns 1 and 2. It's Hefner on the low side, Johnson on the high side. Johnson on them fresh tires screams off the corner. That car has the advantage down to the 3 and 4. They go down to corners 3 and 4. No, Matthew Bear gets into Kendrick Pryor. Everyone's going to hang on to it, I think. That was a hectic moment. They still race for the lead, though. On the high side, on those fresh tires, the 51 will relinquish the spot to Colin Hefner, but I don't think it'll be for long, Doug. That 51 car, I think, is faster.
Yeah, and just looking back, Austin Edwards is currently back in 6th place. We saw him lead and be one of the dominant cars, but he's got a ton of traffic to work his way through, and it'll be interesting to see if he can make his way back to the front. As we were talking about Noah Carpenter, these guys get back on the lead lap. They still have quite a battle to work through all this traffic. That's 1 lap down, 2 laps down, 3 laps down. Just a mess on the track, and if you're not at the very front, if your strategy's not right, if your handling's not right, it's going to be a really long night.
Well, I want to make one note of a certain topic here too, the points battle, because we're 7 races into a 30-race season. It's getting time to start looking at the points battle. The cream has risen to the top. The guys that are in the top 4 are the guys that we expected to be there. Right now, though, none of them really running that well. Our points leader, John Schwartz, mired back 4 laps down in 22nd. The guy who's second in points, that is Jordan Babinger. He's the only one having a good run. He is up in 8th right now. So Babinger having a really good points day. If things continue the way they are, he'll probably leave here the points leader. Octavio Rondoletto, he's 3rd in points. He's running 13th right now. Luke Turpin running 4th in points. He's in 21st right now. And the guy in 5th is that 15 car, and that 15 car is running 15th right now. So the way things are looking right now, really a nice opportunity for Jordan Babinger to maybe capitalize on things as they race for the lead.
Yeah, and could see some points shakeups here before this night goes on. We've seen several different cautions, and every caution's been multi-car. So I fully expect to see more cars out of this by the time it's all said and done, especially the long green flag runs when we start seeing everybody on different laps, mixing it up, all the different pit strategies. Things could get really interesting for the point standings before the night's out.
Chase Johnson has taken over the lead from Colin Hefner, so the 51 car out in front. And the way the strategy's worked out, we were talking about him earlier as the silver medal car. Well, the strategy has him in the lead right now. Edwards is in 6th, about 5 seconds back. This strategy, Doug, I keep talking about it, but it's such a big deal tonight. The way it's playing out, that 51 car, he has played the game nice, and now he finds himself in the top spot right now. I'm going to keep an eye on Edwards. We have another change in position. Up to 3rd now is our pole sitter, Tyler Jalbert. He's had to claw his way back through the field. He's back up to 3rd right now, though. Also, shout out to the car in 4th right now. That's Blake Wynn. Austin Edwards is right on his bumper. We're about to have a battle for 4th. But Wynn in that 81 car, after starting 26th, you see that car is pretty beat up. He hasn't had an easy night by any means, as here comes Edwards to the inside, so Blake's going to fall back to 5th. Still running in the top 5 right now. A really good run for that 81 team.
Yeah, and he has worked his way up from 26. He's another one to watch. He has some damage, like you mentioned, but it's really not too extensive. He is a little bit slower than some of these lead cars, but being in 5th place right now, still on the lead lap, and in no risk of getting lapped anytime soon. So, he could work on that car throughout the night, end up being up at the front before it's all said and done. Austin Edwards still working his way forward. He's going to have a lot of traffic. If the 51 of Blake Wynn is smart, he'll follow that 66 all the way around the track for a while and take advantage of every hole he opens.
I think that opportunity is leaving him, though, as the 66 is just absolutely walking away from him right now. He doesn't have much to compete with him there. We have another battle on the racetrack. Tyler McRae just got underneath the 19 of Matthew Bear. This is a battle for 6th. McRae in the 99, he goes to the inside, and McRae will take over 6th position from Matthew Bear. Bear is going to slide into 7th now. Only 8 cars on the lead lap, remember, so Bear... great run 3rd last week. He is still running the top 10 right now, trying to continue that great run that he's been on. Up front, though, is the 51 of Chase Johnson, continuing to click away laps. He's working his way into some lap traffic now. One thing I'm kind of surprised about here, Doug, is I thought the 51 was a good bit quicker than the 87, but ever since Chase got around Hefner, we haven't really seen Johnson pull away very much.
I really think that the 87 is taking it fairly easy for the situation right now. And the 51 isn't pushing as hard as he could. Based on some earlier lap times on fresh tires, both of these guys could actually go a bit faster. So it looks like they might be conserving. They've got a pretty good gap, 4 seconds back to Tyler Jalbert. I think these guys are playing it a little bit easy, getting through the lap traffic and trying to make things happen.
So we looking for a good battle on the racetrack right now. Battle is getting close for 3rd. We do have Austin Edwards. He's really starting to reel in Tyler Jalbert, the Edwards 66 machine. But definitely the class of the field so far tonight. He is in some heavy traffic, though, as these guys trying to get around Luke Turpin and John Schwartz. That's actually a battle for position between Turpin and Schwartz there. That's the battle for 21st. And looks like Schwartz will get to the inside of Turpin. Looks like Schwartz is going to take over the spot. Edwards just trying to follow him through. Looking at this, though, the battle for third should be going down any moment. I expect Edwards to get up to the 04. He's been faster than them all night. I don't think it'll be any different now. Our leader, Chase Johnson, in some very hectic lap traffic here, though, Doug. Johnny B and Art Hendren racing close in front of the 51. He gets into Johnny B a little bit. Car around. I believe that was the 22 of Sean Patrick. No caution will fly as he was out of the racing.
Yeah, that was a close call.
And caution will fly. He couldn't get it going. Unfortunately there, Doug, the 22 car, he got spun around, and he was like right on the exit of turn 4 on the bottom, and if they didn't throw that caution, that 22 car would have never got going. There was just nothing he could have done there.
Yeah, looking at where he landed and looking what happened, it looks like he might have just gotten in a little too hard and got a little bit loose there coming off the turn, and he was stuck in about the worst possible spot you could be. He tried to move forward to get out of the racing groove, but then he was stuck. He couldn't get back to pit road. He couldn't get anywhere, and that just put him in a really bad position, facing the wrong way on the exit of turn 4.
He's still there, and now he took the toe. He finally took the toe because he just couldn't get out of that, even under caution. It's just too hectic. He couldn't get out of there. But this time by the flag stand, it's halfway down, halfway to go. I think we all know what that means. It's time for Higgins, the XCal Superfan.
Howdy, partner. I'm down here in the RV eating some chicken fingers. I had to lock the door. Security's trying to get me to leave the lot. I wanted a pool for the RV out here, so I was going to put one in, and I started hammering on the asphalt, and apparently they don't like that, so I'm hiding in here trying to ignore them. Anyway, next week we go to the Texas Super Speedway for some high-speed restrictor plate racing. A race anyone could win, anyone including Bud. Now, I'm going to crack the windows and start shooting these security guys with a BB gun, and hopefully that'll make them go away. Back to you, Petey and Paul.
All right, and Logan Jones, disqualified from the race. Second caution he's caused tonight, and that will be a disqualification for him. But Doug, I think we have a very special surprise for all our friends out there tonight that's about to happen, don't we?
Yes, we do. The new XCal commercial premiering right now. Alrighty, that was the new XCal commercial. Notice that we are now sponsored by Butt Kicker, and you can get a discount on the Butt Kicker if you are interested in getting one. There, awesome. They definitely help a lot of guys out with iRacing. It helps put more feel, more realism into it, more definitely more immersion into your racing experience. So definitely go check those out. Very awesome to have them on board. Looks like Tyler Gilbert, Colin Hefner are going to be on the front row. Then Austin Edwards, Matthew Baird, Tyler McRae, Jordan Babinger, Chase Johnson, Brandon Varney, and Blake Wynn will be the only 9 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Did get a couple more back to the lead lap as we get ready. We are 1 to green here. And it looks like everybody is getting sorted out. No, they're going to delay it one more time. Did get a request. We wanted to take a quick look at the 01 of John Schwartz. There he is. He's currently running in 22nd place, currently 5 laps down, but he is starting to regain some of those. I believe he was 6 laps down not too long ago, so he's starting to make up a little bit of ground there, and hopefully he'll be able to get back up into the battle. But right now it is Tyler Gilbert leading him around. Looks like they might actually go green flag racing this time by.
All right, so here we go. Down in corners number 3 and 4. It's the 04 of Tyler Jalbert on the inside. Outside Hefner. Here we come. Green flag in the air. We're down and away. And Jalbert, not really that good of a start. Hefner on the outside had the lead at the stripe. Hefner now in the top spot, but Jalbert on the low side fights back. Our pole sitter trying to lead his first laps in quite some time as we're a little bit past halfway. Austin Edwards waits in the wings. They continue to race side by side for the lead. It's that Halinar Racing Team 87 hitting that 04 down to the very bottom of the racetrack. But Jalbert in that 04 machine, he will take the spot away. Now Edwards gets underneath the 87. This is for second. So Jalbert in the main mobile trucking machine is in the top spot. Here we go for second. Edwards trying to get around Hefner, and Edwards will get around Hefner. So now move the 66, up to second, the 87 back to third, as Matthew Baer continuing a very good run tonight. That car currently resides in fourth. So the 66 car now back up to second position, and oh my goodness, he gets too deep into the corner, he gets loose, he slides up the racetrack, the 87 is going to get underneath him. Here comes the 19 to Matthew Baer, and I think the 04 just braked a little earlier than the 66 was expecting there, Doug, and rather than just pile into him, the 66 locked up the brakes and got out of the groove.
Yeah, that was a good save on his part. I mean, he would have not been in the wrong if he had bumped him, but definitely a great save on his part, and great sportsmanship to try and keep everybody going straight and green flag racing. And it's really interesting to see these guys running up front. Now that the 66 is coming back, he's up Austin Edwards back there in fourth. Now that he's starting to come back, you got two cars out front, Tyler Jalbert and Colin Hefner. They are trying to get a little bit of a breakaway, but the 66 is about to move into third place, and then it is going to be him trying to run them down. They've only got a little bit over a second lead on him right now, so it'll be interesting to see how quickly they run him down. But another factor is as the sun goes down, the lights come on, the track cools, there's more grip, and that high line, we talked about it earlier, may start coming into play.
Up front, Jalbert's the leader, but Hefner's hanging with him right now. That 87 car, I think, is faster than Tyler Jalbert. And Doug, I think your prediction you made earlier about that 87 saving something, and you thought that he might be a real contender for this win. I think you might have been onto something there. That 87 car, I don't think he's quicker than Edwards, but I do think he's quicker than Jalbert, and I bet you he's probably about on par with Johnson. That 87 car is looking good right now, and he knows with Edwards trying to come back, he needs to make a move happen. He sets himself to get a good run up off the corner. He gets to the high side of the 04 of Tyler Jalbert. And I'll tell you what, as this race goes on, the 87's getting better, and the 04 seems to be getting worse.
Yeah, and we saw the 87 looking to the high side. As we mentioned, that high line is starting to work its way in. And even if he doesn't use it all the way around the corner, if he can drift out there mid-corner and start carrying more momentum, he could definitely get a run down the straightaway. If he comes into a turn even with the 04, he might have a chance. But in the meantime, Austin Edwards is laying down some really fast laps. Just a couple of laps ago, he was about a second and a half back. Now he's 0.6 of a second. He's closing to 0.5 of a second. You can literally sit here and just watch the closing rate coming as the 04 drops down to the low, the 87 goes high, going for the top position here.
All right, so here we go. Great battle going on up front. And now here we go, side by side. On the outside, Hefner's trying to make it happen. I think Hefner is going to make it happen on the high side. Hefner side by side with Tyler Jalbert. Jalbert keeping the nose in there. That 87, though, just has so much more speed, but the 04's preferred line is Josh Rogers is up against the inside wall in the backstretch trying to get that car straightened out. And it looks like Jalbert will hang on to the position, so Jalbert in the top spot. He is going to get around the 87. Now here comes the 66. The 66 going to follow suit. Josh Rogers just waiting for that hole to get that car back going. And now Hefner will slide into line in third. Edwards now up to second. And let's see if Edwards wastes any time getting around Tyler Jalbert. He hasn't all night. Let's see if this is any different. And next time by will be lap 199, getting really close to lap 200. They call Tyler Jalbert the weapon. And I promise you, Doug, he earned that nickname. That was not just a nickname they gave him as a joke. Tyler Jalbert, he is never a very easy guy to pass, and if you pass him, he's not afraid to shove you back up the racetrack. As we're getting closer and closer to crunch time here, and Tyler Jalbert finds himself in a position to race for the win here, don't be surprised if he starts running that 66 car in a way that might make the 66 really uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're not going to try and make a pass for the lead anytime soon. It looks like the 66 is going to have to sit in line as they come through this traffic, and both of these guys could get impatient. And the weapon, he might, if the 66 starts looking like he might make a move to the outside. He might use one of those lap cars, bump him to make a pick out of him to the high side. That could definitely throw things for a loop. You just never know what's going to happen as they come through this much lap traffic on this small track at these speeds. It is definitely going to be an interesting remainder of the race. We're in the second half. The aggression is going to start kicking up.
Yeah, the 04 is running a defensive line right now. He is running all the way down on the racetrack. Also catching up to these guys, the 99 of Tyler McRae. The 04 is really holding these guys up, and Tyler McRae is now pretty much caught up as they race side by side for second. Jalbert, it's almost like he's not trying to run fast anymore. He's just trying to keep those guys behind him. He is just clogging everyone up behind him by running that low line on the racetrack. And I can tell you this much. If Tyler Jalbert put the 66 in a position where the 66 got his race ruined and got in an accident, I don't think Tyler Jalbert would feel all that bad about it, as here comes the 66 peeking to the inside, nothing there. Jalbert hangs onto the spot for the time. Off the corner, it's still Tyler Jalbert, not running that defensive line anymore as they've made their way out of the lap traffic. He kind of has some more racetrack to work with. But that 66, you have to feel like it's just a matter of time right now. Tyler Jalbert, though, just not letting any room being given right now to that 66 machine. Great three-car battle for the lead. It's about to be 4 cars as Tyler McRae, like I said, he has it down to under a second.
Yeah, and now we've got just 8 cars left on the lead lap, so it is about to get really, really dicey as they come trying to lap some more cars. They definitely want to keep as many cars lap down as possible. And Tyler Gilbert, you can see the 66 gets so much further into the corner. He carries so much more speed, but he just can't do anything with Gilbert running that defensive line. And it's almost comical, because it looks like the 04 is just checking up more than he really needs to, but the 66 is really leaning on him.
Caution. I've said it once, and I'm going to say it again. Saved by the bell, both those guys were, because that was starting to get a little dicey. As looks like we had a car go around. Bruce Helmuth, I see, has went around, and we'll have to see what happened there.
And it looks like coming off the turn, he just got up into the wall. It looks like he was having some kind of handling issue, got into the wall, collected it. It looks like Alexander Gangler got caught up there and caught the 20 and a couple other cars. But for the most part, everybody gets through clean and very limited damage. But now the 82, he ended up stuck down there trying to get out. And we talked about it earlier. One of the problems you see here at this track is once they spin, it's really tricky to get back out there on the track.
So the 3 cars in line to get a wave around right now, Doug. This is interesting. Noah Carpenter, who you've been on all night. We know he has the speed. Kendrick Cryer, who was running top 3 for a lot of the night before earlier issues. And Richard Holliday, who I don't think we've seen have the speed tonight, but if you've watched enough XCal, you know that 03 car is typically running up near the front. So 3 guys that are absolutely contenders now are going to get back onto the lead lap.
That is definitely going to shake a lot of things up, and we're seeing a lot of the, about half the field is going into the pit road, but you got a lot of guys that were 4, 5, and 6 laps down, staying out to get a lap back. You got the 01 of John Schwartz. He has a lot of fans here tonight. He's going to get a lap back. Now he's going to pit road, but Josh Rogers, Luke Turpin, Mason Foster, they all stayed out, at least so far. Mason Foster has been out there for 79 laps. He has not pitted in 79 laps, and he's recovered a couple of laps and several positions here.
Yeah, so good break there from Mason Foster. So I'm waiting to see how things are going to cycle around. And yes, the 3 cars getting the wave around have changed a little bit. Cryer will not be getting a wave around. He pit and took too much time. He lost another lap. The 3 wave around cars, it'll still be Carpenter and Holliday, but also Steven Rex, who's another guy that typically has a good bit of speed, will be getting back on the lead lap. The number of cars in the lead lap will be 12. But then we have that, so there will be 12 cars in the lead lap. 13th place is 2 laps down, and that just continues to progress from there. So it does look like, as Alex Gangler was given an EOL, it does look like that we might end up with a maximum of 12 cars on the lead lap of this race before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'd be surprised to see more than 12. I would honestly, at this point, be surprised to see more than 10 cars on the lead lap. If Gangler hadn't had some handling issues there, I think they would have stayed green a lot longer. We probably would have seen green flag pit stops. And as you mentioned, several cars, not only were the 2 leaders saved by the bell there, but several cars that were right in front of them that were about to be lapped were saved as well. So it's definitely, things are starting to shake out quite a bit with the limited number of cars on the lead lap. There's going to be points battles going on back behind them, and a lot of guys, a lot of fast guys like Octavio Rondoletto, they are stuck quite a ways back and a couple of laps down.
So everyone got their wave arounds here, and we're going to delay it. Here's how the lead is shaked up. It's Chase Johnson out in front. Blake Wynn will be second. Colin Hefner third. Jordan Babinger will be fourth. And fifth will be Tyler McRae. Austin Edwards, who we've talked a lot about tonight, is going to be in sixth. The leader before the caution, Tyler Jalbert, will be in seventh. And those are pretty much all the cars that are of note right there. On the racetrack, we still have pretty much everyone still out there for the most part. Actually, even 35th, John Friley, who's 115 laps down, he's still out there on the racetrack. Only 2 cars have officially gone behind the wall for the evening. That's Ryan Soper in the 84 and Logan Jones, who was disqualified. Obviously, that car is behind the fence. Even Greg Hull's out there 80 laps down. It's one of my favorite things about XCal is that even when you end up with guys that are hundreds of laps down, they still go out there and they're trying to pick up positions. They're trying to do their best to finish as high as they possibly can. We're going green this time by, though. The field is in the hands of Chase Johnson. We go through turns 3 and 4, and the green flag is in the air. That might have been a jumped restart there. The tire was still on the track for the pace car, and that is a penalty in XCal. We will have to see how they deem that one. I think Johnson jumped the start, and per the rule book, I think he's going to be penalized. So we will keep an eye on that, but for a car that's ran good all night, that could be a detrimental mistake, or maybe he'll get lucky and it'll go unnoticed by race control.
Yeah, that'll definitely be interesting. He did get a good jump on the pack, and he took the 87, managed to get going pretty quickly and get up there with him. They definitely have got to get away from Austin Edwards, though, back in 5th after this pit stop. He's going to be coming very quickly, and we saw him run these guys down extraordinarily fast earlier in the race, so I would be worried if I were them. And just a side note,
caution.
Yep.
So looks like we had issues involving maybe the 2 of Ben Eaton. Oh, I see Derek Colson again involved the 5 car. And the 25 Bruce Helmuth again. I think that started with Colson, Helmuth, and Wynn.
Yeah, it looks like Helmuth just got in there, and somehow he just drove up, caught the 5 car, and got turned. Several cars managed to get around him, but it looked like he got up in there too deep and just got really, really loose.
So an unfortunate break there for Helmuth, who I think, needless to say, things have not gone his way the last few laps, as that car got quite a bit of damage now. We're on lap 222 under this caution, though, as we are going to try to get a word in here with our in-car reporter once again, Richard Holliday, as we have not talked to Richard in a few minutes here. So let's see what is new and happening with the 03. And Richard Holliday, it's Petey up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Petey.
All right, well, Richard, looking at you right now, you're running in 11th place. Just got back on the lead lap through a little bit of strategy and a wave around there. We're on lap 222 of 350. I think it's probably been about 150 laps since I've talked to you. So tell me, in these last 150 laps, have you learned anything new about the car? And as we start to get into nighttime, does the added grip to the racetrack help your setup at all?
I think it made other people's setups stronger. So I guess mine got better, but kind of net worse, if that makes sense.
Right.
I've been just taking right side tires, trying to stay on the lead lap. The back straight pits kind of are a little disadvantaged, but we're doing our best to work around it.
Well, it looks like you're going to be up somewhere near 7th or somewhere near 7th place when we get this thing restarted. That'll be as high as you've ran all night. So I think you probably have about 1 to 2 more pit stops left in this race. Looks like, though, you're probably going to be running in this lead lap. I think the guys that are on the lead lap right now, they're going to be on the lead lap for the rest of this thing, barring caution. So kind of what's the game plan in your head right now, seeing you're going to be restarting about 7th?
Well, it's still a long way to go. I'm going to try to keep it clean and see what we can pick up here. There's a couple guys in front I've been racing. I might be able to get picked up here.
All right, 10-4. Well, Richard will catch up with the team, talk to you hopefully in the front stretch later on.
All right, thanks.
All right, that's the 03 of Richard Holliday as he just got back on the lead lap up to 7th place now. And as we get this getting close to getting back restarted, here's how it's going to line up. It is going to be It is going to be first place is going to be the 87 of Colin Hefner. Second place is going to be the 19 of Matthew Baer. Third is going to be Noah Carpenter, high as he's ran all night. Fourth is going to be Tyler McRae, and fifth is Austin Edwards. And Doug, now this is the chance to see what Noah Carpenter's got. He's restarting third.
Yeah, and he has the advantage of having Austin Edwards behind him. So if he can get away right now, if he can get away on the green when the green flag drops, start picking up some positions, he might be able to get up there and get in the mix with some of these front cars. I think he'll be able to compete with Chase Johnson and Collins. So we'll see what happens here. This will be interesting. Green flag is in the air.
Green flag is in the air. Hefner does take the lead. He might have changed lanes before the start-finish line. I think he did. He definitely did. That 87, no doubt, should be black flag there, although we didn't see anything happen to Johnson on the last restart, so we'll have to see what happens here. They are racing side by side for second and third right now. The 19 car will get cleared by the 424, so Carpenter moves up to second. I think the 87 is going to get penalized, though. Like, he absolutely changed lanes on that restart there. We'll have to see what happens. The 424 is up to second now, though. Austin Edwards moves up to third. And yep, Colin Hefner's been black flagged. The Hefner 87 machine has been given the black flag for changing lanes on the restart. Carpenter is going to cycle through to the lead, and a terrible mistake there by the 87.
Yeah, and just looking at the lap times on this restart, the last 2 laps, the fastest car out there has been the 424 of Noah Carpenter. So that could come into play as we see the 87 diving to pit road. He's going to get on pit road cleanly to serve his black flag, but Noah Carpenter up there with Chase Johnson, it's going to be quite a battle now.
Oh, I do apologize, by the way, to my friends out there. Chase Johnson is in the lead. I didn't realize he had that lap advantage on the field. Carpenter's in second. He's racing for second with Austin Edwards. But Johnson with the huge lead on the field. Good job noticing that, Doug. I did not. Here we go. Second and third battling now. Edwards gets to the inside of Carpenter, and Edwards will get around Carpenter, so Carpenter will have to slide into third. And, Doug, I don't think we really thought that Carpenter was faster than Edwards regardless. I think it's just a matter of we thought that the 424 might be the true silver medal car over Chase Johnson. So now let's just see if the 424 can sustain running behind the 66 and not lose any more spots. And I think that'd be pretty big for Carpenter.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And, I mean, he's running just as fast as Austin is. I think Austin might be a little bit better early in the run as the 87 gets back out on track, but he is several laps down now. I'm showing him 3 laps down. It's just going to be really interesting to see how this plays out with these guys being second and third. Chase is so far ahead of him, it could get a little dicey later in the run. But these 2 guys are definitely second and third place. But either one of them could lead this field around at any point in time. So we'll see what happens once they get back to Chase.
And Chase is having a hard time with lap traffic. These guys are actually catching him at a pretty remarkable clip right now. They've caught him about half a second a lap the last few laps. It's not that Johnson's that slow, it's just the lap traffic's been slowing him up an awful deal here. And Johnson works on the back bumper now of that 81 of Blake Wynn, trying to put him 2 laps down. A good battle for position right now for about 5th through 8th. Brandon Varney in 5th, Tyler McRae in 6th, 7th is going to be Jordan Babinger, and 8th is going to be Stephen Rex. And even Matthew Baer in 9th is right up there in that battle right now. Those guys all running within spitting distance of each other. But it looks like Varney is going to hang on to 5th right now. As up to 4th, actually. I didn't even notice this, but Richard Holiday, we talked to him after restarting 7th. He now has that machine piloted up to the 4th spot. And for the Holiday 03 team, they really haven't seemed to have that much speed all night. So I am sure Holiday is very, very content with that car being in the top 5.
Yeah, and it's really interesting the way that this restart played out with having the field split up the way it is, with Chase being where he is, and the other 2, Austin Edwards and Noah Carpenter, sitting there battling. Austin is definitely showing that he is currently faster, but not by a whole heck of a lot. Noah Carpenter still hanging with him pretty closely, not that far off the back. So once they get up here and they have to catch this lap traffic that Chase is in, things are going to get really interesting. The other thing with Chase being where he is on the track, he's going to end up lapping some more cars before these guys get to him. So as he works through traffic, that's some of these guys are going to try and hold him back, but he's working his way through pretty quickly now.
Doug, something worth noting. You know how we talked about how terrible that 57 car was handling earlier? He's in 5th right now. In the last few laps, he's been the fastest car on the racetrack. You got to wonder if maybe Varney set this car up for the nighttime conditions and was just kind of surviving through the day. And now that we're in nighttime, that 57 car, he has been, if not the fastest car, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack for about the last 6 or 7 laps.
He is definitely hooked up. He is running some of the fastest laps out there. He's running faster than all three of the top three. Actually, he's running the fastest laps in the top 5 right now, and he is working through traffic doing so.
Yeah, unbelievable for Varney right now. I have to imagine that he set this car up for exactly this. He must have. No, I mean, it's smart because you know the race is going to end at nighttime, and a lot of guys will set their car up to run good in both conditions. But I like the strategy of having your car good for when it matters, and it appears that's exactly what Varney has done. As he is right on the bumper right now, Richard Holiday for 4th. Varney running all over him right now. Not too far behind those two is Jordan Babinger. They have a little bit of a gap between them and Tyler McRae. McRae's about a second back on those guys.
I do believe Josh Rogers is about to be out. I thought I heard a car blowing up, and it looks like it was him. He was smoking. He got onto pit road, but his night may be over as well in the 31 car.
Well, here we go. Brandon Varney did just take 4th away from Richard Holiday, so move Varney up another spot. Now Holiday fakes to the inside. He's going to be happy to ride in 5th right now, although he has a mirror full of Jordan Babinger. Our leader, Chase Johnson, is continuing to get caught right now by the 66 of Austin Edwards. Austin Edwards is putting down some of the faster laps on the racetrack. Not quite as fast as Varney, but Edwards, despite being in traffic, still being as fast as he has been all night. Up front, though, Johnson is in heavy lap traffic as he tries to get around Pat Sullivan. As now the 51 comes off turn 4, this time by 100 laps to go. 250 in the books, 100 to go from the Southern National Motorsports Park. And Doug, with 100 laps to go, let's make some predictions here. Who do you think is going to walk away in victory lane in this race? I'll let you go first. Put all the pressure on you.
I honestly think that I think before this is all said and done, I think Noah Carpenter is going to come back. These two are catching, Austin and Noah are catching up to the 51. They'll easily get around him, and then it'll be a battle between the two of them. And I don't think that 424 is pushing nearly as hard as he can. So I think that it'll come down to those two, but my money's on Noah Carpenter at this point.
I'm looking at this list of drivers, and I'm really torn on who I want to pick. And I know Austin Edwards is the obvious pick. He's been the fastest car all night. That just seems like it would be safe for me to make that bet. However, I don't want to make the safe bet because this isn't a very safe track. So I am going to go out on a little bit of a limb here, and I am going to say that I think Tyler McRae is going to win tonight. I think strategy and all that is going to play out in favor of the 99. I think the C's are going to part, and I think Tyler McRae is going to pick up his first career XCal victory. Still a long way to go, though, till we find out if me and Doug are correct. And since neither of us picked Austin Edwards, we're probably both going to be incorrect. You know, neither of us picked the two cars that have been running first and second all night. As the 66 and 04 get into it, and the 04 and 66 touch. The 04 saves it there, as the 66 gave the 04 a nice shove there. And Doug, that was almost the bad moment there for the 66.
Yeah, and that could have been the end of it. I've noticed that the 66, he does get a bit impatient at times. He's played the strategy pretty safely most of the night, but every time he gets stuck up behind somebody, he ends up, if he's stuck there too long, he looks like he's getting right up on their back bumper. We saw it when he was going for the lead earlier. He's just going to sit on that bumper and maybe give them a little rattle their cage to get by, and that might end up biting him before the night's out. That's why I think the 424, he's just playing it a lot safer at this point.
He is. And looking up front, though, Chase Johnson putting down some nice laps now. He's actually sustaining the lead he has over Edwards. Edwards isn't really catching him. I mean, obviously lap traffic is playing a factor in this. But Johnson not really under any pressure right now. And if you're Chase Johnson right now, this race is pretty much a one-stop race at this point. Regardless if we have cautions or not, this is probably going to be one stop till the end of this thing. If you're Johnson, Doug, you got to be sitting there thinking, all right, I have a pretty decent lead right now over Edwards. We have one more stop to go. If you're Chase Johnson, don't force the issue. Don't be bumping these lap cars. Don't put yourself in a bad position. Just ride. You have put yourself in the exact position that you wanted to put yourself into. And, we have a wreck on the front stretch. The 04 goes around. Let's see if caution will fly. The 04 didn't wreck too hard. He gets it back going. I thought for sure that was going to be a caution when I saw it out of the corner of my eye, but the 04 must have saved it somehow.
Yeah, Tyler Gelber was leading earlier on, but he has struggled since the sun's gone down, and now here he is. He is mired back in. He's still being scored in 10th at the moment, but pole sitter Tyler Gelber is not going to get the win tonight at the rate things are going. It looks like we're in for another green flag run, and the longest we have seen anybody run so far tonight on their fuel is 80 or 79, 80 laps. So here in about 8 to 10 laps, we should start seeing the final green flag stops for the night. As you mentioned, only one more stop needed from here.
And Chase Johnson in a new car this week. Let's not forget that. He was in the 50. He's still on the same team, but I mentioned earlier he gave up the 15 car that he drove to a win at USA. He drove that car up to 5th in points, and he just gave it to his friend Kendrick Krayer because he wanted Krayer to sign with his team. And with that, he took on the challenge of trying to dig the 51 out of a very deep hole in the point standings. And right now, he's been running second pretty much the whole race, but now he finds himself here in the lead late in the going. And Chase Johnson, this kid, the story on this kid is one of my favorite at XCal. He got involved in the league very late, not very late in the early stages. I know that's kind of a contradictory statement, but I don't know how else to describe it. He got involved probably around August, and he ran his first event with Kendrick Krayer on their own team at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. He ran 3 races, Doug, or 3 heat races, I should say, 3 out of the 4 heat races, and in all 3 of the heat races he ran, he caused the first caution by self-spinning in front of the field. After that, he didn't show up to XCal for months. He didn't show up till I believe it was December again because no one wanted to put him in a car after that. But in that time, he ran a bunch of official races. He was practicing the street stocks, the different tracks. He was practicing how to set the car up. He got better. He showed up, got a 1-race deal because someone needed a backup driver. He drove the car to 6th position in that race. Derek Colson, just on a limb, decided to put him in a car for the whole season because he needed a driver and was impressed by that 6th place run. And then in the second race of the season, he won at USA in a shocking win that no one saw coming. He drove that car up to 5th in points. This week he's in a new car, obviously, so he's not 5th in points anymore. But in a new car, he is leading here late in the going, looking like he could be in the catbird seat at Southern National Motorsports Park. And I'll tell you what, Chase Johnson, if there's one word that could describe him, I would say that I can't think of the word, but it's he just doesn't give up. The kid just doesn't give up. He's very persistent. There we go. He's very, very persistent. And I have to say, if I have been impressed by one driver so far in the 2021 XCal season, it has been Chase Johnson, just because he shouldn't have had a ride. He shouldn't even be here right now. And he's been running up for wins every week.
Yeah, and that's impressive. Another impressive thing, we've been talking about the gap closing with Austin and Noah catching up to him. That's not the case anymore. The last few laps, he's actually been faster. He's had a little bit more clear track. He's had less, he's been able to take these lap cars individually. And he's actually, at certain points, he's opening the gap up back to 2nd and 3rd place. In addition, now we've only got 7 cars on the lead lap, and Tyler McRae and Richard Holiday both are within striking distance.
Yes, and by the way, it's just Johnson and Edwards, really. I mean, Carpenter is 8.5 seconds back, but I don't think that's quite within striking distance. If this thing goes green, if there's no big pit road issues, it's looking like this is shaping up to be a battle between Chase Johnson and Austin Edwards, and I don't even know if it's going to be a battle because Johnson has such a big lead, 5 seconds over Edwards. This pit stop, Doug, it's going to be so crucial. Who can get into the pits hottest? Who can really get those extra seconds by driving in deeper than they want to? The thing is, though, whenever you do that, Doug, you put yourself on the edge of control. And I mean, if you try to get that extra half second by driving deep into the pits, you might clip the apron and spin into the barrels, and that might be the end of your chance to win.
Yeah, and this track, we talked about it in the pre-race. This track, it's difficult to get on pit road. It does have that rise to the inside, and you've got to get down there quick. You've got to get slowed down. You got to make sure you're watching your mirror, you're watching in front of you, you're watching the barrels, you're watching everything, trying to get it perfect. And 1% the wrong way, you could end up in the wall. 1% too slow, and you could lose everything you've gained on track. So it's going to be definitely tricky. These guys pitted they're on the same pit strategy. Noah Carpenter's actually pitted 12 laps before them. So it'll be interesting to see. They're not going to be able to stretch fuel or do any fuel strategy between the 51 and the 66. So it'll be very interesting to see when they pit, and if they go later in the run, if they're going to try and make things last, or if they're going to go and try and get some sort of advantage early.
And I don't know how this has completely slipped my mind, but I just remembered it now. During the off week, because XCal had a bye week last week, the drivers got together and hosted their own event with a $100 purse. It was broadcasted by the Gangcast, and it was called the Pit Lizard 100. This race was at Southern National Speedway. There was kind of a practice race for this race. It was a 100-lap race, And it was Chase Johnson who won that practice race. Austin Edwards wasn't in the field, neither was Noah Carpenter. But Chase Johnson won that practice race. I believe second was John Schwartz and third was Tyler Jalbert. But Chase Johnson has already shown this week that he can compete for wins. He's shown that he has the speed. And in this race right now, he's trying to make it. I don't want to call it a Southern National sweep because obviously that wasn't an XCal race last week. That was just kind of a spoof race, the Pit Lizard 100. But I can't believe I'm saying Pit Lizard 100 right now live on the broadcast, but here's where we are, Doug. But the 51 of Chase Johnson, nonetheless, this track has treated him well the last week or so, and hopefully this last pit stop will too.
Yeah, and it's 2021. Everything's fair game now. Jordan Babinger and Kendrick Cryer both have gone to pit road. It looks like Josh Rogan, we saw him blow up earlier. He is not completely out. Looks like his team might be trying to fix that car, but we're starting to see those green flag pit stops now, and the strategy will be interesting. We noticed earlier in the race that fresh tires were only about a half a second faster per lap than these old tires, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here with the tire strategy, with the pit strategy. Some of these guys hitting pit road need fuel. I imagine we're going to see Jeremy Leto anytime now. He's been out there for 74 laps. Richard Holliday's been out there for 77. And Noah Carpenter as well has been out there for 77 laps. So we're going to start seeing a lot more green flag pit stops in the next 10 laps.
Austin Edwards just drove up on lap cars that were 4 wide. I kid you not. They were 4 wide in front of Austin Edwards. He made it through it, but he hasn't made it through it yet. They're no longer 4 wide, I should say. But he is in some very competitive lap traffic. They're kind of wrecking in front of him. They're still wrecking. They're trying to wreck. They're doing everything they can to wreck, but they just won't. And they didn't. They didn't wreck. The 53 and 15 did everything they could to wreck there, but somehow they didn't, and we're still green and no one wrecked. And the 53 is just flipping off the 15 as hard as he can right now.
Yeah, you can definitely see some middle fingers out the window there. They were leaning on each other extremely hard as the 66 finally gets around that mess. But yeah, that was a moment. And you know that Austin Edwards, we talked about it, that could be the one thing that kills his night is coming through this lap traffic and these guys get to battling and trying to get through a 4 wide. I mean, 4 wide here is just difficult, if not impossible. The fact that these guys have managed to maintain 3 and 4 wide racing all the way around the track for a lot of this race is truly impressive and definitely speaks to the skill of a lot of these guys. They're just doing some amazing driving and some amazing saves tonight.
Impressive, no doubt. Looking more and more of these guys coming down pit road. I think Tyler McRae has not come down pit road. It appears that everyone outside of the top 6 has come into the pits, though. The only guys that have yet to come down, Chase Johnson, Austin Edwards, Noah Carpenter, Brandon Varney, and Tyler Jalbert. As Noah Carpenter does come into the pits now, the 424 is down. Let's see when our 2 leaders will come down now. So 5 cars still out there that have yet to pit. And they're all going to have to pit. It's not like we're on the edge of our seat wondering who's going to pit and who's not going to have to pit. All these cars will most certainly have to come down pit road. But who will make that mistake on pit road? You know one of these guys is going to make the mistake. I'm just curious to see who it's going to be.
And the 51 of Chase Johnson, he was underneath a car coming out of turn 2. That car there to the outside of him got really loose and looked like he was about to have, it looks like that was the 04. Looked like he almost got together with Tyler Jalbert, but managed to save it. Both guys kept going forward. And you're right about one thing. It is definitely not, nobody can make it from here on fuel unless they stop. The 5 car tried to get onto pit road and almost hit the wall. And now
it's been a long night for Derek Colson.
Yes, it has.
It most certainly has not been his night, and I feel like I've been saying that at a lot of races lately. One of these days, Derek, you're going to have your day, and I'm going to be very happy for you, but it was not today. Chase Johnson getting very close to the 50 lap to go mark. We're on lap 297. Here we go. Hand out the window of the 66. The 66 car will be coming into the pits this time by. Let's see if he can get in cleanly. He does let his teammate go by, so he's going to have a clear shot at the pits. Here comes the 66, and no, he won't be coming in this time, I guess. I thought I saw the hand go out the window. Maybe not, as this time by. No, it looks like he's not coming down. I could have sworn I saw the hand.
Is showing as on pit road. Yes, Chase Johnson is now on pit road, so he's relinquished the lead. That might be why Austin. Oh, we've got a car, 2 cars wrecked on the pit entry in turn 4.
That is a safety issue there. Let's see if they will throw the caution or not. The 04 is still sitting there. The 04 isn't getting it going. Will the 66 come down? Caution is out, and Chase Johnson just did not catch a good break there. And you know who did catch a good break, though? Austin Edwards and Tyler McRae. They're going to be the only two cars in the lead lap here, Doug.
Yeah, this is about to get really, really interesting, and I'm trying to look and see what happened with the 04 there. He has had a very difficult night, and backing up just a little bit, we'll take a quick look at it. It looked like he just got offline trying to angle in. We talked about how it's a difficult pit entry at best, and you see the 04 just gets offline, hits that bump, and then he collects another car as well. The other car, can't tell who it is, but he managed to get clear and get around, and the 53 was coming to pit road as well, so it's really lucky no more cars were involved with that.
It truly is. So Edwards comes into the pits now, and he's going to take 4 tires. He has that luxury with a two-lap advantage over the field. He can take 4 tires, as can Tyler McRae when he comes down. Here comes McRae this time by. Chase Johnson is being scored 1 lap down, so he'll get back on the lead lap. Although Hefner in 4th, he is 2 laps down. Carpenter in 5th is 2 laps down. Everyone else is multiple laps down, so we're going to have 3 cars on the lead lap. I mean, obviously that could change with a few cautions and a few swings of things here, but that caution is huge. That caution just absolutely changed everything.
Yeah, I mean, we had Chase Johnson leading and having a good gap on the field, and he's just hoping that these pace laps he gets at least back to the lead lap and gets back close to those front guys, Austin Edwards and Tyler McRae. But that pit stop was definitely advantageous. That caution was advantageous to 2 guys, and it really, really hurt Chase. You know he's just got to be sitting there screaming because he had the race won if they stopped under green and didn't have any issues, and he made a great pit stop. He had no problems on pit entry, and then here he is at getting caught. Looks like he is going to be on the lead lap. He's currently right behind the pace car, so we'll see if that puts him close enough to be in striking distance.
Yeah, and it does look like other cars, now 4th through 8th are just 1 lap down. So if we do get another caution, we could have a few more cars end up on the lead lap before this thing's all said and done. When we get restarted, though, it's going to be a little bit screwy. It's going to be Austin Edwards in 1st. 2nd's going to be Tyler McRae. I don't know how things are going to line up. I don't know if any of the leaders are going to be near each other. This is really screwy right now. But Edwards, one thing is certain, Edwards is going to have the lead when we get this back going. There's going to be about somewhere in the range of 40 to 45 laps to go when we get back racing here. And Edwards was the fastest car when we went to Thompson last time. Ended up 2nd in that race. Been the fastest car all night here at Southern National Motorsports Park. Pit stops are no longer a factor here, Doug. He's going to have the lead late. And for Austin Edwards, in a 2nd career XCal start, it looks like this one could very well go his way.
Yeah, and it looks like, I mean, they are still trying to sort all of this out. The pace cars in 3 and 4, I imagine we'll get a delayed green, but that 66 car just came around. They're trying to get everybody lined up. It's going to be interesting to see how far they are separated from Chase Johnson and Austin Edwards, how much of a gap there is between them on the green flag. It's and then they're going to have all this lap traffic around them. I mean, they're the only 2 cars on the lead lap. Everybody else is lap traffic. Everybody else is fighting for any position they can get at this point.
Edwards pretty much has a lap on Johnson. Like, when we get restarted, Edwards is going to be at the front of the field and Johnson's going to be at the literal back of the field. So if you're Austin Edwards here, you're going to be up front with all these lap cars. You just got to get away and run, Doug. You got to get away, run, and hide, and then you don't even need to run a fast pace. You just got to let off the gas a little bit and you can cruise. You can honestly just cruise if you're Austin Edwards. And I know, like, you don't want to think that as a competitor, but it's true. If Austin Edwards chooses to, he can really just take it easy. And I mean, obviously, get another caution. That's a whole nother topic there. But for Edwards, he's sitting pretty. He's sitting very pretty right now.
Yeah, and it's just amazing that it wasn't that many laps ago that the 51 was sitting pretty, so anything literally could happen here. I mean, yeah, the pit stop the equation is out. Everybody's got what they need to get to the end of the race, but man, it's going to get really, really interesting here. I don't know that Chase can get back anywhere close to the 66 in time, but you know, a monkey wrench just went into everything once. It could happen again anytime.
It most certainly could. We're gonna have to see how this plays out. Race control trying to sort this out. The thing is, Doug, I think regardless, this is going to be a screwy start. They're not going to be able to sort this one out just because of the nature of the way that caution flew. So we are going green this time by Johnny B is the first car at the front of the field in 30th place, but obviously he's not the leader. Here we go, green flag in the air. Johnny B is just going to drop down and get out of the way here. Oh, big stack up in the front of the field. This could get hectic. Edwards, though, we're going to keep an eye on him. He is in between the 28 car of Steven Rex. Rex is currently running in 8th, and he's in between Rex and Kenny Tripp. Tripp, who is running in 26th right now. Cars all over the racetrack right now. Edwards, though, out there with about a 20-second lead. And actually, Edwards restarted pretty much right behind Chase Johnson. Not too far behind him. Here we go. We're wrecking. Chase Johnson and Tyler Jalbert wreck down the backstretch. They both get those cars straightened out. Let's see. And, Chase Johnson is parked on the inside wall now with Tyler Jalbert, and Johnson will go lap down. There's a parking lot down there. Austin Edwards now is a lap on the field, Doug.
And this, if they can keep it green for another 38 laps, Austin Edwards just got his first win. I mean, he's got a lap on the 51, and the 424 is now being scored in second. So this thing might have just ended. All he has to do, like you mentioned right before we went green flag racing, all he's got to do is coast at this point. He doesn't have to be too aggressive. We saw him be a little bit aggressive getting around people earlier. He doesn't have to worry about it. All he has to do is listen to his spotter, listen to his team, make sure that nobody closes back up on him. Not really, all he has to do is just not let anybody else pass him. As long as he does that, he has got this race won. 36 laps to go. It's going to be next to impossible unless he gets caught in something. It's going to be next to impossible for anybody else to win it.
He just needs to find a hole in the racetrack without a lot of cars and just cruise. Like, he can run whatever pace he wants. If he wants to run the pace of the 30th place car right now, he can afford to do that. Like, he can run whatever pace he needs to. He just needs to do it safely. So Edwards, with a lap on the field right now. Noah Carpenter, by the way, up to second after those issues between the 04 and 51. Brandon Varney's now up to third. Richard Holliday's in fourth. Tyler McRae's in fifth. Johnson, after those issues, he's in sixth. He does have that car back going, but I think a sixth place for him tonight is going to be very disappointing, all things considered how well he ran.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, had everything not gotten screwed up, I think Noah Carpenter might have been able to give the 66 a run for his money. Don't know if he could have beat him, but he definitely could have been on that back bumper. I mean, he's not that far behind him on the track, but not enough time to unlap himself, get all the way back around, and get back to the 66. It's going to take a miracle for anybody to get past Austin at this point. This is a little bit crazy the way this last restart has turned the entire thing more or less upside down.
We do actually, Doug, worth noting the battle for 6th through about 5th. They're all on top of each other right now. Those guys are all right near each other, so those battles are not done yet. Here we go. Brandon Varney, he is caught right up to the bumper of Noah Carpenter here. Let's see what Varney can do with the 424. Varney all over that 424 right now with about 30 laps to go. Varney looking to get a great debut run in that 57 car. The 424, though, is not going to be an easy cat to get around, as all those guys are in quite a bit of lap traffic right now. Looks like the 424 will peak to the inside of Steven Rex. He has the nose in. Rex will slide up the racetrack, and that'll open the door up for Noah Carpenter. So Carpenter in second, having a great run right now for that asphalt racing number 424. The 57, though, of that is Brandon Varney. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a brain fart there for a minute. I think he's a little bit faster. We'll have to see what they can do, as now we have 2nd through 5th all under a blanket right now.
Yeah, and this is extremely dicey because they've got several lap cars that they've got to work through, and the 57, the 424, they've been battling. That 424 looked like if Steven Rex hadn't moved, it looked like he was about ready to move him. They're not giving any space to these lap cars. They're going full bore into it. They're going to do what it takes to keep their positions at this point. And they're
caution.
Caution.
That's huge. That is huge here late in the going. As we have had the 04 of Tyler Jalbert, he has won around again. The 04 of Tyler Jalbert, I'll tell you what, he had a good first 200 laps. These last 150 laps have been absolutely horrendous for that 04 car.
And it looks like he got his left front on that little lip of the bump, and it just sent him around there. The 52 was right on his back bumper, did a great job of staying out of his way and not getting into him. No more cars were collected, but yeah, that's a rough rough end of the race for Tyler Gilbert.
So we are, it looks like the 66 has come down the pits, which I kind of like that call. You have a lap on the field, you know 3 guys are going to get the wave around anyways. Why not come down the pits and get those fresh tires just for the end here? So Edwards, I think that was a very veteran race car driver move there. He didn't need to come down the pits, but he just helped himself a good bit because now he can just have fresh tires for the rest of this thing.
And that does put, it's going to put the 424, who looks like he may come to pit, he is coming to pit road, Brandon Varney. And Chase Johnson is also going to be back on the lead lap in 6th place. So a couple of really fast cars back here. That might have been the smartest move he could make. It depends on how the restart shakes out after the mess on that last restart. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, this is about to get really exciting. We've got more cars back on the lead lap and some really fast guys up there that could give the 66 a run for his money.
So actually, because he did that, Doug, I commended him at first. I think it was a mistake now. If he wouldn't have done that, he still would have had an absolutely massive advantage over the field. But because he did that, he lost a lap in the process, and now he's going to have to instead of restarting pretty much a track ahead of the field, he's going to restart with 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th all right on him. So, I mean, I don't want to say it was a blunder because he does got the fresh tires and he's had the fastest car all night. Maybe he understood that and wanted to earn this, you know? Maybe he didn't just want to get his first win beating the field by a lap on some strategy. Maybe he really, oh no, they're going to wave him around the pace car now, and he will have a lap advantage on the field. Or everyone's going to get waved around the pace car, so he won't have the lap advantage on the field. You know, Doug, I should go back to what I was saying earlier. I shouldn't talk until we get things restarted.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. I mean, this track is a bit difficult, and the race control does an excellent job. But even having live race control for these races, it is still just a nightmare it's difficult to admin and run any race. But something like this, on this small of a track, there's always iRacing glitches. There's always issues with the drivers and trying to get everybody squared away, making sure everybody's on the right lap. And this is definitely, things are going to be shook up here quite a bit. So we'll have to see what happens. It looks like Brandon Varney and Richard Holiday are going to stay with him. But Tyler McRae, Chase Johnson, and Noah Carpenter are going to be a ways back in the field.
So, now I gotta ask you this, Doug. Obviously the 57 and 03 aren't on fresh tires. 57 and 03 really haven't been the 2nd and 3rd fastest cars all night, if we're being honest. Does Varney and Holiday have any sort of shot at Austin Edwards here?
Varney has it if it's a short run, which is 18 laps to go. I mean, if they don't get any more cautions, he has a chance for about 8 to 10 laps, but then he starts to fall off really quick. His tires are cooled down a little bit, but he's got 31 lap older tires. And I just don't know if there's going to be enough time for Austin's tires to get enough wear on them to balance the equation. I just don't think they can get to him. The question is going to be, Noah Carpenter actually stopped, so he's on fresh tires as well. Will he be able to come through and pick up a top 5 out of this deal?
I think his chance to win and get a podium for Carpenter is going to rely on a caution. But it looks like these guys, the leaders, are going to be starting single file and lap traffic, I think, Doug. I think that's the way it's going to work out. So I think that they're going to be single file, so that probably works out well for Varney because he's not going to have to worry about Holiday as much here. A lot going on here, Doug. A lot to comprehend for sure. We have 10 cars on the lead lap, which is way more than I thought we were going to have to finish this one. 1 car, 1 lap down. That's Kendrick Cryer in 11th. Currently in 12th. A great run for the 85 of Jeremy Leto debuting for 85 Racing. We're green flag in the air. We're down and away. And Edwards has a tough start there. Varney's on his bumper. Varney gives him a bump. Edwards in heavy lap traffic. And Doug, this is absolutely worth noting. The car in front of Austin Edwards is Brandon Varney's uncle Kenny Tripp. Do you think that could play a factor at all?
I am sure it could play, if it comes down to it and he's not racing these guys for any of these top positions, he might be willing to help his nephew out. So this could get really interesting. There could be a little bit of excitement. He could do a little blocking and help in one way or another. So there's no telling what's going to happen here in a minute. But these guys are definitely, as the lap car down on the inside.
This is huge. The 53 moves the 66 up the racetrack. Let's see if the 66 can race down there. The 57 now gets to the inside of the 66. The 57 is right there. Oh, the 53, though, has the 66 on the outside. Edwards on those fresh right side tires. He's going to try to get around the 53, but he is trapped in the middle of a bunch of lap cars. He makes it 3 wide. He shoots up the middle. He gets around the 25. He goes into the wall. The 57-25 touch. Holiday gets through. Holiday's now up to second. Here comes Edwards around the 53. Edwards gets to the inside. He has the advantage over the 53. And oh my goodness, this time by 10 fingers in the air, 10 laps to go. And Austin Edwards, he's probably going to need a minute in victory lane if he hangs on to win to change his pants. But he survived that somehow.
I do not know how he did, and they managed to keep it green. That was some great driving, great save. And the 66 definitely, he was going everywhere he could to get around the lap traffic and just managed to avoid all the madness going on around him. But that was just miraculous the way everything happened. They kept going green. Everybody kept the car straight for the most part.
That move on the outside of Batchelder, snaking around the 25 into the outside wall, snaking back down the racetrack to get underneath the 53, that was... I have no doubt when I say this, and I'm going to stand by this statement, that was absolutely the best move any driver in XCal has made this season. That 66 car right there, he's getting move of the season for so far from me right there. That was incredible. And if he can make it around the racetrack, this time by 6 laps to go, if he can make it back to the flag stand one more time, this race is official. There will be no more cautions. And he has a 1.3 second advantage over Richard Holiday in second. And Holiday has to be grinning running second right now with the car he's had tonight.
Yeah, we've seen him struggling with that thing all night. The fact that he has managed to work his way up and put himself in this position. I mean, he's even got over a second and a half lead on Brandon Varney. So, regardless of what happens from here on out, as long as he finishes in second place, he's going to be just as happy as a pig in fresh slop.
Well, here we go. The 66 of Edwards makes his way around the 25 of Helmuth. Oh, they're getting antsy behind him. They're going to hang on. Okay, so Edwards gets by lap traffic. If he plays the smart, he probably won't have to deal with much more lap traffic this race. He catches up to Jose Gaudino quickly. 3 laps to go this time by. Austin Edwards driving that 66 car for Paul Coleman Jr. in K2 Motorsports. They've never won a race in XCal racing. Edwards came close in his first career start, finishing second at Thompson. Couldn't quite close the deal. Today at Southern National Motorsports Park, he has absolutely been the class of the field. Late in the going, it was looking like Chase Johnson was going to pick up a win in the 51 car on some strategy. We had a late race caution involving Tyler Jalbert. That shaked things up, but it didn't shake things up too much because the dominant car of the evening did end up in the lead. This time by, white flag in the air, 1 more lap to go. Edwards isn't home yet. They're getting real hectic in front of him. They come off turn 2. He can see turn 3 now. He just has to negotiate 1 more set of corners. Here we go through turns 3 and 4. And for the first time in his XCal racing career, Austin Edwards, the feature winner. He wins at Southern National Motorsports Park as he drifts through turns 1 and 2. Second place is going to be Richard Holiday, always a bridesmaid, never the bride. That guy has more second place finishes than anyone else I know. Third is going to be Brandon Varney. Fourth is going to be Tyler McRae. And fifth, probably a little bit disappointed, is going to be Chase Johnson, as a very hectic race, has a very hectic ending, but somehow the guy that deserved to win did end up winning, Doug.
Yeah, and that was just so crazy. That last 100 laps, we had 2 different leaders, and at one point, each of the leaders had a lap on the field. I mean, for Austin Edwards to pull this off was great strategy. It was great driving, and just a lot of skill, a lot of talent, and a lot of great... he's the class of the field, like you say. He had the fastest car all night, but his strategy, his team, everything paid off. It all came together tonight for his first win.
All right, so we are going to catch a word here with our third place finisher. I'm down here on pit road with our third place finisher, Brandon Varney. And Brandon, an up and down race for you. I want to first mention, it looks like during the daytime, that car was very ill handling. I was watching, you saw that wheel back and forth. It just didn't want to grip to the racetrack very well. I got to ask you, was this car intentionally set up to run better at nighttime than in the day? Because it looks like when it was still white out, that car was really a handful.
Yeah, we like to set it up at night because we figured that's when the end of the race was going to happen. So I'd rather be good at the end than good at the beginning and bad at the end. So worked out fairly decent.
Well, Brandon, I got to ask you now. With about 10 to go, you were racing for the lead there with Austin Edwards. You guys were just in a mess of lap cars. Austin Edwards made a very impressive move to somehow split the needle there on all those lap cars. Looks like you got involved a little bit, though, with those lap cars and ended up in the outside wall. Do you think if you guys could have just made it cleanly through all that, you might have had a shot there at the 66?
I don't know. I saw that he pitted for new tires coming up to that caution, so he had fairly newer tires than me, but it would have been fun to battle with him. I think I could have made it a little close, but I still think he would have came out on top.
Well, nonetheless, a great third place finish for you, and you're signed for the rest of the season with the Helen R Racing team. First week for you in the 57, you bring it home in third. So obviously, I'm sure you're excited about being on the new team, and certainly a great run for you to start off the new team.
Absolutely, Colin and I are we're gonna be a force. I can tell you that.
All right, Brandon. Well, before I let you go catch up with your team and celebrate a great podium finish, who do you got to thank for sponsors and crew on this 57 car?
Like Alex Allen for giving me the chance to run this thing. If it wasn't for him, I'd probably be spotting for Kenny or something. So it's all him.
All right, well, that was our third place finisher tonight, Brandon Varney. And now a little bit further down pit road, I think Doug is caught up with our second place finisher, Richard Holliday.
Hey, Richard, congratulations. Great second place finish. And I got to ask you, you started 33rd and managed to work your way up to second. Was it a fast car strategy or a little bit of both tonight that got you up there?
It was a lot of attrition, trying to keep the nose clean as best I could, trying to make good pit calls, staying in front of the pace car, making sure I didn't go a lap down. Lots of two-tire stops, but in the end, we made it work. It's a lot better than I was hoping for.
And you definitely, there towards the end, there was quite a battle going on with some lap traffic out there, and side by side, the 66 threaded the needle. But if you guys had had a clean track, would you have been able to get up there and do something with Austin Edwards?
No way. He had great speed, and that is the only reason I stayed close to him at all, was because of those lap cars. So they gave me a shot, but I was happy with where I was at.
Man, congratulations. Definitely a great finish here tonight. Any sponsors and team you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I got to thank K2 Sauce for the sponsorship, being on the car every week. Really appreciate that. Also want to give a shout out to the guys down at Twisted Chassis and Big Block Motorsports for their support. They helped me out on a little bit of fuel strategy at the end, so shout out to those guys. We'll get them next week.
All right, man. Congratulations. Go celebrate with your team.
Thanks.
All right, well, I'm down here in Victory Lane now, where the champagne is flying, and the 66 car is celebrating its first, not only Austin Edwards' first career victory in XCal racing, but after 7 years, Paul Coleman Jr.'s K2 Motorsports finally gets in Victory Lane. And Austin, despite, I feel like you definitely had the fastest car all night. Despite that, though, it wasn't a certain thing there at the end. For a little while, it was looking like Chase Johnson might have beat you on the strategy game. Then we have that late caution, which got you a lap in front of the field. We had one more caution, though, in that restart with about 15 to go, and you ended up in just a mess of lap cars. In Austin, I said that I thought you made the move of the season. Whenever you were on the outside of that 53 racing with Tyler Batchelder, the 25 got a little loose in front of you. You threaded the needle to the outside of the 25, got into the wall, threaded the needle back down the racetrack to get around the 53. What were you thinking when that was happening? Because I thought I just watched you lose the race and somehow you survived that.
Be quite honest with you, there was no time to think. The last 10, 15 laps of that race was absolutely wild. Of course, the first 200, 250 was just about surviving and trying to figure out the strategy game by the end, especially with this limited fuel. So it was chaotic from start to finish, but those last few laps were definitely something else. I thought I had lost the race as soon as I got to the outside of that lap car. All I could do was hope that my right side tires that I just got brand new would carry me through that mess, and it almost didn't, but luckily I was able to get back to the bottom, get a bit of a gap between second place, and just barely bring home the win.
Well, in your second career start, you get your first career win, and you finish second in your first race, so you're not off to a bad start to your XCal racing career here, though. But for you, how does it feel to get Paul Coleman Jr., that elusive victory he's been after for so long in XCal, to be the guy that finally does it for him?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I had Paul reach out to me just barely 2 days before the Thompson races started, and I had no idea how the league worked or how any of this went on, but I was able to get to Thompson after starting 42nd, somehow strategize my way up to second, but to actually have a lot of time to prepare, work with the team at K2 Racing and all that stuff, before Southern National, I think it made a big difference, and the race definitely showed that for us.
Well, now, Austin, I know that you're a very busy man on iRacing. You have your own setup shop. You run a lot of different leagues and official stuff. I know you're very involved in the iRacing community, so I know getting you a free Tuesday night isn't always the easiest thing in the world. But when do you think we could possibly see you back again in the 66 car someday? Because you've been running pretty good when you run it.
Yeah, well, I guess we're going to find out. Short tracks are definitely my specialty. That's where I've originated from, not only in real life, but also on the sim. So we'll see what I can get going here, what I can talk out with Paul, see what we can do. Of course, Paul is really good on the bigger tracks compared to what I am. So chances are, when the short tracks come around, you'll see me back in it. But at the end of the day, it was a good performance. So all the guys at K2 Racing, I really enjoyed it. I thank all the guys at XCal for putting this stuff on. Thank Paul for letting me drive for him. Super happy to get his first win. Overall, just a great day.
Yeah, and Austin, before I let you go celebrate with your team and whatnot, is there any further sponsors and crew or just anyone in general you'd like to give a shout out to?
Paul and K2 Racing are the guys that make it happen. All the guys on the team have been really good, giving me feedback, testing out the stuff I built for them, and that's pretty much all there is to it.
All right, well, first career victory, Austin Edwards, as he brings the car home in victory lane. And Doug, a race that I feel like we probably had about 10 cautions in that one. I don't know what it was, but that is to be expected at a track like this. And I'll be honest, I would give that pretty close to a 5-star event right there. That race had everything. It had strategy, it had an epic finish, it had a lot of questions to be asked. And, even though Austin Edwards was clearly the fastest car all night, it didn't make the race boring. There was something going on, it felt like, the whole night.
Yeah, I honestly think it's if you're going on a scale of 5, tonight was a 6 for sure. It was it was mind blowing at times. We saw a lot of cars completely sideways and save it. We saw some accidents early on, but then they got to the green flag racing and a lot of side by side battling. I was surprised to see 3 and 4 wide racing at times. So definitely one heck of a night, and yeah, one of the best races you could ever hope to see.
No doubt. I mean, that one was just epic. So as this one is over, it looks like after this race, I think we're going to have a new points leader. Jordan Babinger, I think, will take over the points lead from John Schwartz. That is unofficial, but if my mental mathematics are correct, which I want to add, I actually had to go back to high school for an extra semester after my senior year to finish math, so I wouldn't really trust my math. But if my mental math is correct, I think that our new points leader should be Jordan Babinger. And a big shakeup there, but Austin Edwards picking up his first career XCal victory, first career victory for Paul Coleman Jr. What an epic race. That will wrap up things, though, here on the broadcast. On behalf of myself, PDJ Zeller, the voice of XCal Racing, on behalf of Doug Burns and all the fantastic people over at How to Suck at iRacing, these broadcasts, I feel like people are always messaging me and trying to give me credit and say, PD, you do such a good job. I just talk. Doug makes the cameras happen. He does all those graphics. Everything that's important, Doug does. So Doug Burns gets absolutely all the credit there on the broadcast. And on behalf of Aaron Hillbush and all the fantastic people over at XCal Racing who make this race possible and put on such great events for us to put in front of your face, my friend, on behalf of Bowen Smith, the junior admin, who's actually celebrating a birthday today. Bowen Smith, happy birthday to you. Good job calling the race tonight. He makes all the calls on top of the box. And on behalf of all of XCal's great sponsors, including K2 Sauces, Butt Kicker Gamer, Triene Incorporated, and many, many more that you can check out at www.xcalracing.com. This will wrap up things from the Southern National Motorsports Park. We'll see you next week. Different place, Texas Motor Speedway, for some super speedway racing. Take it easy, my friend.